All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Archipelago. You are here today with myself and my wonderful co-host, Giant Geo. Geo, how are you?
Thank you. Wow, co-host threw me off of a loop there. For no dragging up ancient history. Sorry, I'm just doing the promo things, but no, I'm all. I could be better. Physically, I'm good. I recovered from my sprained Achilles, but I mean, I don't know, bros. I think Turbo America is winning. I hate to say this. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Have faith. Have faith. Listen. What's happening right now in the East? It's a feint. They're luring them into a zone. Listen, I trust General Armageddon. I trust General North. I trust the plan, bros. Also in America, trust the plan. Well, we'll get into. I don't know. I don't think I can trust the plan.
I don't think I'm trusting
Oh,
anything, buddy, here.
yeah,
I mean, well, you and I covered a lot of the live reactions to it on
yeah,
Tuesday with
yeah.
Patrick Casey. I
And
did it a little,
AA.
and AA. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
back to back midterms coverage, where fellow patriots and his biggest soldier, we were all there together. Um, but yeah, kind of looking at it now, as we continue to descend into our lovely third worldism of how elections work in
The
this
Giga
country.
Longhouse favela existence.
Well, I thought the perfect election that kind of described that was the Michigan governor election between Whitmer and Tudor Dixon, because it's just like it's two women that were running, and it's just like here we go.
Yeah. My old man is like, did Whitmer win again? I can't believe this. I go, yeah, that's
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
is.
and we still don't know which black abortionist won in Georgia yet. So
Oh, is Herschel? They think Herschel Walker's gonna win, or
yeah, they think so. I
oh,
mean, we're doing pretty well. Also, I'm testing out something new. I have an entropy link in the chat that's pinned up there. If it works, do let me know. If like you can send something. I know that's like a really weird way to send super chats, but I mean, like, if it works, please let me know. That way, I can tinker with it if it doesn't. But
oh,
I'm trying that out because I've had so many people say that they don't want to give Susan money, and I don't blame them. So yeah. Oh, Herschel Walker says Herschel Walker's pro-choice. No. The October surprise of Herschel Walker was that reports came out that he had allegedly paid a woman to get that procedure done. So that's just my quip there. That there's been a lot of places where there are no options. And of course, everyone's favorite byproduct of the Master from Fallout is has won the Senate seat in Pennsylvania.
yeah, I can't believe it, bro. I mean, I could, but I mean, maybe this will be there's a silver lining. I mean, maybe the memes will be so great that it doesn't matter if all of Pennsylvania gets turned into Kensington. But um, maybe he'll release all the criminals and it'll be fun. It'll be happy hour, fun hour. And it'll be fun land in Pennsylvania forever. Um, maybe he'll bring maybe the CZW can bring back the Tournament of Death in Pennsylvania. They don't have to like sublet it to Delaware again. Maybe that'll happen. But no, man, it's something else. Why it is funny though, the Fetterman thing. Even Tucker, he roasted him, saying that the Democrats are like breaking glass ceilings by having like a first brain damaged
Oh yeah, there was that
person.
article
Yeah,
where it was like, oh
yeah,
yeah, it's ableist if you don't support him or something like that, and it's important for disabled Americans to have representation in Congress. I
yeah.
mean, it's just I couldn't. And apparently somewhere a dead person was reelected.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
this isn't the
right.
first time we've elected dead people in America. You'll famously recall that George W. Bush administration associate John Ashford had famously lost an election to a dead guy who died like a week prior. So,
Wow.
it's
That's I think I
pretty
remember
bad.
something like that. Yeah. It's
No, he's not. He just had a stroke, and he did. Oh, hold on, wrong one. He had a stroke a while back on the campaign trail, and
retarded.
did not recover very well. And when they said that he was ready to go, the doctors that they had saying that he was cleared for service or whatever was apparently tied to his wife in the campaign. So, I mean, this is Democracy Manifest,
Whoa.
folks.
His wife, yay or
This is
nay?
Democracy Manifest.
This is Democracy Manifest. You know what's funny? When I woke up this morning, I was actually thinking of that powerful synchronicity. I was thinking of that Nixon quote from, I don't know if it's true though, from that interview he did with Frost, where he's
Uh-huh.
like, when the president does it, it's not illegal. But then he's like, that was misattributed because he said, "Well, I realize what that sounds like to most people." Like he was making a point. He wasn't saying like I'm this corrupt criminal that like, because like the depiction of Nixon in popular media is just abysmal. Like you remember that movie from the '90s with Nixon? Well, where they had the scene where he looks up to the portrait of JFK, and it's like the god, the Camelot, right? He's like,
Yeah.
every time they look at you, they love you. Every time they look at me, they hate me. Like something like that.
One of these days we should do a Nixon
yeah,
stream.
that'd be great.
That'd be great. Go over the tapes, go over the interviews. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah. But it's better than
man,
like, apparently he didn't do anything before this. Like he was like a son of a rich person and he just like coasted his way through Pennsylvania politics. Is that true?
No, he served as the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. So I mean,
yeah, but like they say like he just got that. It was like some kind
he
of
was
legacy
also
position.
a mayor for a while. So I mean,
Mm.
it's not like it. I love his official portrait though. This is just keynote. This is his
Maybe
official
throw it up.
portraiture. I am throwing it up. Like this is the working class, mommy populism that we're gonna get real quick in America.
Look at
folks.
Jay Burton's take right here. This is amazing.
This is him. This is his official portrait from 2019.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Like it's something about him is just so caveman-y. Like it's just you could put him in that insurance commercial with the caveman.
Oh, I remember those. And then they kept the arc going where like the caveman was on like news saying it's a racist.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
But look at Jay Burton here. We know Italians are black because Gio loves fat white women. Well, that's true. It's true.
Well,
but it's
you're
so
honorary, I guess, Gio.
Oh my god. But it is just looking at him is mesmerizing. It is
you can just get lost in those homunculus eyes.
the homunculus behind the brain. It's funny though, like about what's happening. I mean, it is blackpilling. I mean, I know though they're making a big deal out of the sort of like leftoid, like liberal eschatology, like the radical liberal eschatology of Zoomers, and that there's like all these, which I think literally they cropped up overnight. These like Zoomer political activist accounts, and they elected one in Texas. He's like this transmogrified. Well, I mean, I can't say on YouTube, but
I mean, didn't they literally have some actual trans individual win a race yesterday in Montana?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but they got this can I say light skin? This guy in Texas. But can you imagine though? They should take this Zoomer guy.
Oh, so there are two candidates that won yesterday in state legislatures. One in Montana, Zoe Zephyr, which I wonder what his real name is, and then one from New Hampshire. But
there was it New Hampshire or Texas, the black one?
Oh, the one that had that big viral tweet about Zoomers or whatever. That's in Texas.
Yeah, that's what. But the fat woman, but she was talking about this Zoomer that got so it is Texas. So I'm saying if you want a Zoomer black guy, you should take Herschel Walker's gay conservative son and run him against the other black guy who is a Zoomer. Wouldn't that be crazy?
I feel like this is how you get the president from Idiocracy somewhere down the line.
I don't know why Christian Walker is pretty base though. I gotta admit, like it's. Nah, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, so base as he talks about hot, muscular red state Santas. He flies home for the holidays. I mean, I swear he makes Brad Palumbo look like a saint.
It's like should bring back the Twinks for Trump, the loose and Winstrich thing.
Bring back the LGBT for Trump flag.
Oh man, I remember Common Filth made so much hay out of that. That was crazy. But it didn't work though. I think Trump knew it didn't work because they thought like he was gonna like put him in camps or something. Like it was funny though. Like that was the side of Trumpism that we forgot about. That like he was, gonna be like some kind of on social issues. It's like, purely about the economy and immigration. That was like the thing that people forgot. But yeah, but the whole the Zoomer year zero, Generation Z, well, yeah, I can't say it on YouTube. But my friend Cal said it in one of my tweets.
The based Gen Z is not happening.
Yeah,
I
knew
don't
it
know.
wasn't.
That was a weird cope that I think just emerged out of every other cope I've ever seen from the National Review about conservatism is the new counterculture, and it's just like, yeah, well, okay. And I mean, there are articles from the National Review that go back to like the 2000s talking about this. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Fishy Frenzy's right though. Like the first gay president will be a Republican. Like we're the GOP is
the gay old perverts.
I mean, we're definitely going down the route of the Tories.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which and that was the thing. It's just I think everyone's got a different take on it, and I don't want to spend this being like the midterms recap stream.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
I've seen everyone talk about just like, well, and I said this yesterday or the other day on Patrick Casey's stream. It's just like really all of this naked stuff that we've been watching for the last 2.5 years has been. They stopped trying to operate the, wholesome, we're all Americans, we're all, we all can get along.
Yeah, that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, the mythological operating costs have come too far and too high. So they said, fuck it. And the mythology stopped working. And now it's just like, well, we just got to secure power now. And the other take I saw was VDARES, which was more or less like, well, like this is demography manifest. So here you go.
Yeah. James Kirkpatrick, I think, had some of the best takes. That thread he did, and I think, like, to be fair though, people were saying that among Zoomer white men are largely skewing towards the right wing, towards the Amarna form. Never mind, you know this too. Towards the Amarnite right. But I think that but the problem is demographically they're screwed. I mean, but then that's what I mean. It's like, in America, I know like people don't want to hear this for obvious reasons, and I don't really endorse this either. But I think that if Florida teaches us a lesson, I mean, if you could potentially have what was a minority but becoming a brimming, prominence in American demographics, if you could turn one of these races conservative, then I don't know, like maybe the whole black pilling. But then the problem is they're not going to have, I think, the same connection to, European civilization that we do. But that being said, I mean, it's if the right wing, like, here's the thing. I just don't agree with the takes that in order to win, you have to do something like the Tories in Britain or, the conservatives here, where you have to like essentially just become like liberal light in order to get like, the money in the ethnic vote. So it's like, what are you going to do? I think that, I don't know, maybe Hispanics, maybe Asians. I mean, I don't know. Like it'll be very weird, but I think that, I don't know, maybe it'll be like the millennials. See, apparently millennials we're redeeming ourselves by voting for the Republicans. So maybe the Zoomers, hopefully, like all things, when they grow up, they'll become more right wing. But I don't know about that, because you have to realize like what's working against the Zoomers demographically, the chemicals in the food and water, the amount of Zoomers that identify with quote unquote alternative lifestyles, the amount of sheer indoctrination they grew up in. But that being said, I mean, the transformation of the right wing is almost going to have to be inevitable. It will have to become something akin to like a futurism or some kind of a landscape painting from Austria or something. Like, it's got to be something that's more cohesive than typical like right-wing conservative politics in America, which and then who knows? I mean, demographically, I mean, I'm just spitballing right now.
Well,
but
the thing I said yesterday, Gio, and maybe, this can be a good transition to some of the other stuff we wanted to talk about, was just I kind of wanted it felt like 2012 where like, oh wow,
Yeah.
on the national level you kind of cocked up every single good thing that you had going for you. Like you have rampantly crappy inflation, the economy is like careening towards, the big sad 2.0, the Great Recession,
Mm,
and which we never really recovered from either in 2008. And then on top of the fact that we've sent hundreds, almost, I don't want to say hundreds, but we've sent tens of billions of dollars over to Ukraine, and we're
yeah.
increasingly escalating a conflict towards nuclear war. And oh, by the way, for the last 2 years, your cities have been run amok with crime, anarcho tyranny, and drug users, and people are dying everywhere for other unknown reasons. And so, it's a cock up. Like they fucked it up. It felt like 2012, but at the same time, I'm like, no, well, there are like a dozen other issues that make it a little different. Um, but the thing that comes to my mind immediately is that really the only autopsy that is kind of worth looking at now is what are our friends doing? Our ideological counterparts, colleagues, cohorts. What are they doing on the ground that's been successful in terms of networking, helping getting people jobs and employment? Because
Mm.
I think Dan P kind of has a good point. Like riding the tiger is all you have left. Well, if you're going to ride it, you better have a good saddle made, and I think that whatever our friends do in the future is going to be those kind of saddles.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like riding the tiger is interesting. And whether, you can secure a position enough to like, avoid like a South Africa type of situation. I mean, even there, like that's probably a good illustration of how you can, cope with it. I mean, there are, but it's I don't know how to describe it. It's quite interesting what the future will entail, but I think that not we're never truly going to go away. Our ideas are eternal in that sense. But that being said, I mean, it does look pretty bleak if you look at the picture of the Zoomers, because I think that it's, but at the same time, it's easy to blame them as a generation for going along with it. But in other times, it's like, do they really have a choice? Do us millennials have a choice, really? When we were like given what we were given in the 2000s? Same with Zoomers. I mean, I think that, you know, they have very interesting views and pathologies for a reason. But when you look at the sort of like turbo like radical liberalism that a lot of Zoomers live under, it's like, it's hard not to blame them, but at the same time, it's like, when they are truly, when you see like boomers in these boomer liberals in these tweets that have like 100K plus, where they're going over like, oh, how great these new radical kids are doing and how they prevented the red wave. I don't know if that's true or not, but like, you look at them, you look how absolutely destructive and cretinous these people are. You look at like how disgusting it is to see these decrepit boomer liberals about to get pillowed as a generation, that their last gasp legacy is to destroy the future of not just their grandchildren, but now I guess their great grandchildren. But now they're basically sacrificing the Gen Xers and us millennials to this new plaything of the Zoomers, because we couldn't get it done, I guess you could say, because now millennials are voting for the Republicans. It's like, oh, we can't get it done anymore. How we're greedy and selfish, and it's like it's disgusting, And I'm not saying this like, listen, I have no love for us millennials. Okay, I have no love for us as a generation. We destroyed everything. But that being said, I mean, you have to really think. It's like even in media, there is no presence of millennials. It's either Gen Xers or boomers or Zoomers, right? Because of course we have no disposable income as a generation, and it seems that culturally the millennials are being erased, and I think it's for a reason. And it doesn't look good. The way that these boomers are treating the Zoomers, it's something's very very wrong with this picture, But I don't know.
Well, I mean, the other thing with the Zoomers that immediately kind of comes to my mind is like you have a slave morality almost like built into
Yeah,
them. I
yeah,
mean, I think that comes into my mind almost instantly. It's just like, well, you're raised in this media complex that is encouraged for your parents to more or less um, hand off that technology to you without any sort of moderation, restricted access, or whatever. Like I consider myself lucky that in one degree, like, oh, like when I was like a teenager, my parents put up like a parental control on like the Windows Vista desktop that I had on my desk in my room. And, in retrospect, I kind of appreciate it. On the other hand, like I think about how many kids these days are given like their parents' phones or iPads when they're being
Mm.
like driven around in Walmart or whatever on the cart. And I think that that's just so that has to do something from very for a very long term
Yeah.
effect if you start that young, right? Like let's not kid ourselves. And the other thing too is that you're encouraged at all times, everywhere and present, to be a part of the socially agreeable position, even if the socially agreeable position is just outright ridiculous. So you have to do it and go that way. So,
Mm.
but on the other hand, right, like, and of course, and it also play like demographics always, of course, plays a role here. Like, how many young millennials, older Zoomers, kind of like, especially white guys, right, that found themselves listening to, early Sargon of Akkad
Carl
2014.
Benjamin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Who says it here in the chat? Many Zoomers and late millennials owe their lives to Carl Benjamin.
Oh man.
I mean, there's probably some truth to that.
Unironically.
Yeah, like
Maybe we'll get him on the show one day. That'll be something.
we should.
Yeah.
I think his alt got nuked on Twitter, so I don't know how to get
Oh
hold of
man.
him. But neither here nor there. We'll figure it out. The web in the aristocrat, the Coco Melon generation. Yeah, I mean that's basically
Coco
it.
Melon. Oh, God.
Because that stuff is. I
Oh.
don't recall growing up where PBS Kids or Sesame Street was like constantly yearning for my attention at all times
Yeah.
to have like the most adult attention span imaginable. And that's the entire media complex today. I mean, Twitter is exactly like this. Micro blogging, TikTok, Snapchat, 30 seconds, 90 seconds. Vine was 7 seconds. YouTube had a channel called 5-second films before all these,
I remember
apps
that.
came around.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty funny. But they, and those skits take work as well. But I just can't help but think that everything nowadays, and this is where I sort of wanted to bring up a little bit of Kierkegaard, but like his concept of the leveling is one of the things that
Mm.
always kind of sticks with me. I mean, he's one of the most important, I would say, 19th century philosophers that we have out there. But for him, right, it's this process where the uniqueness of the individual is more or less erased. Yeah, it's non-existent. Everything is equal in all values to aspects of all endeavors. So all the intricacy and nuance and subtlety of what makes humans humans
Mm.
are gone. And for nowadays, I think about how that works, presently, because in one instance, oh, everyone's equal. There's this sort of, he's sort of a ramble against egalitarianism. But on the other side, I can't help but think to myself, well, all the intricacies of humanity are gone because everyone has their own story to tell. Everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a lived experience. Everyone
Yeah.
has a new identity, neurodivergent, etc. Because that's what it has to be. What makes you does not matter. To a point where, like, even I think older, and I've seen this complaint from older gays on Twitter, where it's just like, like my orientation is not my identity. Like I
Yeah.
do other shit. And nowadays, no, your entire personality is your identity. And so
Mm.
everyone has to level themselves in this like weird, almost inverse egalitarian sort of aspect. Like you have to be X, Y, and Z on the Impression Olympics to be seen as legit. Which is why, like, at the end of the day, when white content creators or especially on BreadTube, right? Not to sound like I'm pulling out from distributist stuff here, but it's the thing about white BreadTubers. It's like, well, what's the progressive role model
What's
for
the
straight white
message
men?
that bread tubers give to white men?
Be
Don't be
trans.
white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be anything.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's that,
trying to do the. I can't do his voice, man. I can't.
it's that tweet that I saw a few weeks ago where it was just like, what is it with non-binary whites that think that somehow being non-binary excuses them from being white? And it's just like, there it is, folks.
Owned,
There it is.
owned.
They
Very much intra-homeway mindset right there.
That's just like, there you go. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you need to do to
Yeah.
get those Patreon bucks for your donors. It won't matter at the end of
The
the day.
intra-homeway left. Yeah.
They want you gone.
By the way, I can't believe BAP won an AA. That was amazing.
Mhm.
I was grilling while I was listening to it. But he
I was
said
on the road
something.
listening to it. It was
Yeah,
very good. That was probably my
yeah,
favorite cigar stream besides James Kirkpatrick's.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Well, besides my cigar stream though,
Oh,
when we talk
the
about
pro
wrestling
wrestling
for
one.
3 hours. No, but
It's the only reason
um,
why I know anything about pro wrestling is you two.
yeah, yeah. But there was at one point he said about like the newer generation of frogs, like the sacrifice they make is getting banned every week by like trolling the libs with the hanging memes and like the Amarnites. Like Bap, I think he's very correct. Like he knows that the energy from 2016, it wasn't like the political commentary, it wasn't like the grifters, it was more of like figures that had an incredible irreverence and humor and were doing like in a way the weirdo performance art, even like their texts and their articles and their output is itself a performance in a way, like people like Mike Ma and Paul Town will be on Content Minded of course soon. I have to get back to him actually. But no, it's like I think that was I was thinking about this, and maybe I'll write something about it. There was a song I heard, and the guy that actually did it, he reached out to me. This was years ago. There was a song that Sam Hyde used. It was the band, the music group, Creep Crawl Flash. And I think the song was called Flutter. And I remember like it was in one of these like $1 million extreme. I think it might have been in a world peace video. And like the song itself, like for some reason, uh, Sam Hyde would always use like a lot of these songs that had almost like how can you say it? Almost like a longing to it. Like I think that time we lament over it for a reason. There's always this little bit of like teary-eyedness to when we talk about 2016 because I truly feel that a lot of this energy, like that was our avant-garde moment, and now that we're sort of living in the wake of it, we're at this point now, especially after the midterms, especially after I would say really the last 2 years, where well, especially here, me being a Leaf, especially the last 2 years, where we're going through a, this is the bad times. This is we're going through a slump. I feel, and it's really to reflect upon those moments that we've had together and how we found each other is really important, I feel. And I don't know, even like on Twitter, there's sort of like a weird resonance that's happening, sort of like weird quote unquote vibe shift after Elon took over. I feel, and I will buy my blue check mark, by the way. I'm getting on that.
Oh, you
But
are? You're gonna hop in on it?
I think I'm going to do it.
I love,
Seriously
just as an
contemplating it.
aside, I love it to see like 25 or like a less than sub 200 follower reply guys with blue
Yeah.
check marks. I
Yeah.
love the energy that has because it
There's
always sends
this,
me into a shock where I'm like,
yeah,
is this a
yeah.
legit journalist? Oh no, it's just my reply guy.
Yeah, yeah. There's this one account, this tweet that blew up. There's this one Amar Knight. I think he used to be called something else, but it's Biden RPist Groiper that has a blue check mark. Like incredible, incredible. Yeah, ZHP is not buying one for some reason. He says that they're going to dox you with it. But no, I feel that
Well,
more
if
than
you could pay for it with like
yeah,
a prepaid card, then I'd be down. But
yeah, yeah. But that's what I mean. Like I think for some reason, maybe because like they're lifting the throttling, so our tweets are doing better. But for some reason, I feel like a very strange energy in the air. I feel like you know, it's very interesting. It's almost like we feel like we're in a group together now, and it's like I don't know, it's weird. What do you feel recently? It seems that things are different. I don't know. Things are different.
Well, I mean, things have been different for a while. I for sure. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like 2016 feels like this perennial eternal spring moment where anything could happen. It's
Yeah.
it's up there in my list of like flashbulb memories of, you know, where were you when like they announced the election of 2016, you know, like
Yeah.
because I can remember it clear as day. Like my very gay like professor that I was on this conference with lit up a cigarette, cried, called his boyfriend, and exited the hotel room. It was the greatest thing on God's green earth. But
Uh,
everything that has followed, right, should wake us up
yeah.
from that you know, eternal springtime beautiful boy moment. It really should be. I mean, things do feel different. Like, cool, Twitter's different. He's trying to make money off of it or turn a profit on it in some ways. And I mean, people are buying blue check marks, so it's working in some degree.
Yeah.
And Twitter has been much more of an interesting place to go on because people are sort of testing the waters and seeing what they can get away with. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and the other thing too, though, and this is like the weird thing when people are like, well, it's just Twitter, you know, it's just, but today's viral tweets are tomorrow's news chyrons. Like, I can't
Yeah.
escape the fact that it's, you know, a part of reality. I mean, it's a pseudo reality to some extent, but it's definitely a part of our
Well,
life.
yeah, there was this one line, which we're going to cover next week. There's this one
Mm.
line in Lane where she's like, to her father that, there's actually an actual reality here, but I'll still be myself though. Even though this is like another layer of reality. But yeah, Twitter is very much like that. I feel like at the one moment, your true self is revealed in the online experience, but at the other moment, what I mean by true self is that it's always a mix of what you intended to be, but also I noticed after a while as people say that, oh well, my anon account is not me, my anon presence is not me, my personality is not me, but at the same time, there's something deeply unconscious that slips through eventually, because you can't invest so much time into something that it doesn't also become a part of you, or rather, it doesn't also reflect a part of you that perhaps you didn't even know was there or was aware of. So a lot of people that say that it's not really me, I mean, is it really you or not? Like, if you're clearly being, it's like when that one fucking guy, you know, loser, thinker of ironies, he's like, no, this isn't, like, you're wasting your time. He said something like this, or it was either him or Logo that said something like, what happens here isn't real or some crap. It's like, but yet you're investing so much time in it. So it's like, well, there's always this cope that people have. I think that, the touch grass people, there's this cope that they have about, well, we have to get back to real. It's very much boomerish. Like, we have to get back to real life. It's like, well, what is real life? Real life just becomes a generator for what happens here. And so um, to be honest about it may seem a bit cringe for the time being, but I think that more people are going to realize that. And it's not cope in a way. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of it's cope for people who are terminally online, such as ourselves. But I think people are going to realize that no, it's like the whole like fetish over like, well, this is real life. It's like, well, this is life now. And I think it goes back to the debate about like trads versus futurists. Even it's like the whole thing about, well, if we live in this existence, then what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep LARPing about it? Going to go back to your homestead? It's like, that's what I mean. I think that you have to reconcile that we live in this reality. And that's really been the message of our show, I think, is that to reconcile that the online reality is a thing and it is real, and people have sort of their own make or break moments on it. And yeah, but I don't know, I'm just rambling,
No,
Maybe
I
I'm just
think there's so
defending being
there's
terminally online, being a
well,
hermit.
I had a moment earlier this week that kind of clicked for me because as people of my channel will know, like, I try my very best to keep my IRL very separate from what I do online.
Yeah.
Like, I don't tell everyone that I'm this like autistic right wing amphibious creature on the internet. I don't just because it's like, well, I don't want anyone thinking that there's another who in the church or anything like that. It's just I try my best to keep it separate in part because it's just like this is like a hobby. This is my passion project. This is a job. But at the end of the day, like, you do log off, you do turn the phone off, and like, I get to give my life. Like, I normally will tweet maybe two things on Sunday, right? My good morning, go to church tweet, and then like something about what's coming up, and then that's it. I try and do my best to do it, but like, I was there on Monday, and I'll just tell this little story. So like, After our fellowship hour on Sunday, this dog comes up. He has a collar and everything. We couldn't identify who. It didn't have an owner or a name attached, just that it was
Oh, you tweeted
vaccinated.
about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's a beautiful dog. And so I put it out there, and I said, "Well, is there anyone to like watch it for a night? Because it's a Sunday, and all the authorities are not going to be open right now. Animal control is not open on a Sunday where I live, which is really frustrating. But
Mm,
in a rural part of the country, you'd think
yeah.
animal control would be a 24/7 operation, but neither here nor there. And so I said, "Oh, I called someone up from church that lives in town. I was like, hey, could you like guys watch this dog for the night, and I can get it sent to its owners tomorrow. It's chipped." And they did, and I stayed over for dinner, and we were talking about some of the stuff that they like listen to or read or watch. And I just had this moment in this conversation where he was talking about Paul Kingsnorth, and I was like, I've had like 5 separate people tell me that I need to interview this guy and that I need to talk to him, and I'm like, and a part of me was just like, well, what would you want to ask him? And I was just like, I let it slip out a little bit. I was like, well, I have an opportunity to talk to him. What would you want me to ask him? Because I did send him an email earlier this week to maybe interview him. So who knows? But it's a weird moment where like, yeah, like this is a part of yourself. And I don't try my best to put up a front of like, I mean, you all know what I look like. You all have seen me. And I like to think how I tweet or how I act online is more or less what you would
Yeah.
get in real life. Like if Gio were to meet me now, like I feel like it'd be more or less what you're seeing here. And it was just like, oh, like this is a part of you. You can try and separate it, but it's intrinsic. A part of you is going to show no matter what you do, and it does show both online, but also in the real world. And I was noticing somewhere in chat that they occasionally let the word "based" drop out in conversation.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
definitely done that once or twice. I mean, that was the whole purpose of my talk in February, which you can now see on the channel. I had to explain to my mom what the word Lindy meant one time in a hospital
Oh
waiting room.
God.
So it happens. So
I had to explain to my cousins once what e-girl meant. So yeah, that was pretty awkward. But then I only have one other cousin who is also a millennial, same age as me. Like all my cousins are Gen Xers. So then she
Same.
was trying to help too, where she's like, well, really same, eh? Holy crap.
Yeah, like my
Yeah.
mom is like the youngest, so it's just like even though I'm the oldest of her children, it's just like, well,
Hmm.
everyone that is my cousin is older than me, so it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but then like my cousins was like, but it's like kind of like she's like it's kind of like a bad term, but then we reclaimed it for like something that's good. And I go, yeah, I was trying to like tell them like the genealogy of like e-girl, because e-girl is a much older term than we think. There's instances of it being used in like the early 2000s. So like I know Stain Haynes, it reminds me he had that thread about the quality on 4chan. And it is kind of weird seeing like those old posts from like 2007 4chan, like those screen caps, like all those things that are lost to the annals of history, before they archived everything. But
Just
my GF asked me why I was calling her grandpa Chud at the family reunion. Oh man.
That's a good one, Bruce. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What does Sneed mean? You wouldn't get it.
What does Sneed mean? Yeah. Can you imagine that having to explain what Sneed means?
Or how Kino means cinema, but yeah, it does. But I mean, also
Means everything nowadays.
Means everything. It's
Yeah.
a vibe.
Anything good, yeah.
It's a mood. It's like that other tweet. No Guatemalans, just vibes.
No Guatemala. You have to be like so online to like understand. It's like if you post a picture of a broken branch, it's like you'd have to be like terminally online to like get it. It really is like a Creole language, but no,
I called it in my speech. I think no, it was in the Q&A session, which I didn't post. But how do you manage it? Well, I said, well, a lot of our like terminology of the terminally online in this present era is like right wing Polari. Like you have to be kind of a part of it to know what we're talking about, which is even more frustrating because then that would require you to like become terminally online, which I think you need to strike out a healthy balance for. But
I'm getting some weird followers too. Like there's this one chick, I swear to God, okay. Now this woman, I think her name is Vixen. I'm tempted to follow her back, but she's like one of these I can't even describe it. She was interviewed by Mel Magazine, They call it primal play or something. Like it's
Hmm.
really crazy, and she's got like an OnlyFans and everything, but she follows all of the frogs. She follows all of us. So it's like, what are you doing? What is this person like? I'm tempted to bring her on Content Minded. Just to like, what is it like? Be maybe we're gonna go back to the alt right, the base porn star and the alt right. Maybe
No,
we're
we're
gonna
we're
do
gonna go
that.
back to Brandy Love nationalism.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Oh God.
Geo, do not subscribe. No, but I'm curious though, because like she's into some wild stuff.
Oh,
She's
apparently,
got like the
Ace tells
poison
us
green hair and everything.
unheard writer.
Oh, she's an unheard writer. Okay, thank you, Ace. Then I'll definitely have to interview her. Um, but you know what I'm talking about. She's skinny. She's got like a long face and glasses, and she's got like the green hair. Is that the one you're talking about, Ace? She's name is Vixen on Twitter. She's got like a OnlyFans and a Fet Life and absolute Fed honeypot.
Shia, what are you doing?
I thought no, but I thought she was like mistaken because of like she saw one of my tweets or whatever. But no, she follows like all of us. So it's
Oh,
like, man,
really?
the same that JF interviewed. Yeah, that's the one, Holy Marmot. Yeah, the same one JF interviewed, the French one, the French porn star that's linked to the alt right.
Yikes.
Default friend is kind of sus. Well, that always comes up.
I
That
guess
always comes
so.
up.
I mean, that's. I think she's well. I love Default Friend, and she's helped me out with a lot of things in terms of writing. I don't have much to insult her about. I did message her though when all those like Twitter Spaces dramas was happening, and I was like, "What are you doing in here, listening to this guy rant about certain ethnic groups?" And she's like, "Well, I have ideas and I have beliefs." And I was just like, and then she was like, "Well, you're like the 13th person to DM me asking me why am I listening to this garbage." And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, I'm glad I'm not the only one whose alarm is going off.
Well, here's the thing. At default, she puts herself in bad situations. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I told her this. Like, she's not. People think she's a Fed or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, she's not. To me, she's not a Fed. But
Hold on.
we were
Right
just
here.
too big to fail for no fault.
There you go. This is the one I wanted up.
Base Canadian artist and CIA agent E-Girl GF matchmaking. Well, I hope so. CSIS agent GF. Yeah, there you go. But no, it's I would just
You
I
can
don't know
save her,
why.
Gio.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with this Vixen girl. I have to bring her on Content Minded to talk about these like weird fetish thing that she's into. But anyways,
That one will be a patron exclusive.
that'll be yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All
But no,
subcultures develop a following of female groupies.
yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
I mean, this was the thing that Martin pointed out. Martin's newsletter over on Substack, great writer, great translator. But he had pointed that out during the whole Rizoma school dramas, just like, people want to go where like the talk is. And even if that
Yeah.
means sort of like prostrating themselves before people that hate them, that's kind of the position that you end up doing. And I think that that's something that you see a lot in online subcultures, politics especially, where people will like mold and contort themselves to positions that they would in any other situation like really hate themselves for.
Oh
But
yeah.
that social agreeable factor like just cranks up to 11 and kind of overrides your instincts.
Yeah, exactly. But it is strange times we're living in. I mean, it's we're gonna redact you dog stuff to the seagirl stuff. But it is funny. But no, I think that speaking of current sim count, by the way, I must show another episode with Gifts Ungiven was released yesterday on my YouTube channel on Content Minded. So yeah, please go. I mean, that we actually get into a bit of a tizzy though on that episode. I kind of stand my ground. You'll have to listen to it. But yeah. And of course the base spicier stuff is on Patreon, the full episode. But yeah, Mac Jelk 2-hour Geoporn Star Respector episode.
There's your new Twitter handle.
Oh god, yeah, there you go. But oh my god. But anyways, about the erection, do they know the trajectory of Arizona so far,
Republicans
or
just go
yeah?
Arizona.
Here's my take, and this may be because he's our guy, and I had a lot of good friends that interviewed him. But like, here's the thing, okay? You need to get, and I've said this with Patrick Casey, right? Like the few nights ago. You really need to, like, people like Mitch McConnell. I'm sorry, but they have to go back. They have to go. You know, you have to grab their
Well,
coat
I mean,
because
he pulled millions of dollars weeks leading up to the election. Like McConnell
yeah,
redirected that money out of Arizona and uh into Alaska, which Senate, like that was
yeah.
between two Republicans and um let's
But
see here.
that's what I mean. Like the stuff that they were doing, like, okay, with Alaska, right? Like
Yeah, they were
you
trying
could
to get rid of Lisa Murkowski and like I get it. He wants Murkowski to win. McConnell, like these disgusting slime creatures that need to go.
but that's what I
But
mean. Like that's just to screw over Blake Masters. Like that's what I
yeah,
mean. Like it's like the I hate to say it, but what is more relevant, Arizona or Alaska? What is a more relevant state to win if you're talking about like 2024, right? Like you know what I mean? Like I truly think, is this not an insane take? Tell me if this is an insane take. But I truly think that if given the right guidance and support within the Republican Party, that Blake Masters could potentially one day be a presidential contender, in my opinion.
I
How
mean he's
old do you
got
have to be a president? What's the age?
35. So I mean he's
Oh,
old
he's
enough to run.
36. He's 38. He's 38. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's
yeah,
yeah,
the Senate's age requirement is 30, President's 35,
yeah.
House of Representatives is 25. I could run if I wanted to, but if it's just for shits and grins. Maybe one of these
Yeah.
days, just for shits and grins. But well, this is the thing though, Gio, is that
A Kerry Lake president?
no.
Oh.
I mean the thing
Oh, maybe. No.
stop.
Is
The
she all right though? Is she based or is she like
she's done a lot of work to sort of like unend the Republican Party political machine that's been owned and operated by the McCain
hmm. I know
cartel for
Tucker likes
years.
her, so that's
But
gotta be good.
I just at this point, the talk about online, right? The discourse in quotation marks is always oriented around it's all a uniparty, like stop doing it, but at the same time, like wrestling power away from Democrats for people that are slightly less shitty is, a better outcome than it is
Yeah.
otherwise. And I mean, I don't like I know how the system works, like at least on like a local level and with elections and shit. Like it didn't used to be this way. And I think that that's the hard thing that kind of comes from like a lot of like dissident American folks is it's just like, well, you knew how this thing once worked. And I'm not saying that this is not an endorsement of democracy. Let's make this very clear. Like that has a ton of problems.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
the American democratic process, even 20, 30 years ago was something that was far more effective, far more, verifiable and didn't have as much skullduggery as it does today. I mean, the cities, yes. But on the other hand, right, is that American electoral buggery has been around since the foundation of the republic, whether
Pretty
it was
much.
Washington's letters to, people for vote, landed gentry for votes, or Alexander Hamilton, like trying to write to the electors and tell them to vote a certain way. So it's just like, well, it's part of the tradition, but that tradition is no longer in the hands of people that are, okay with my existence. So
Yeah.
it's been co-opted into the bio-Leninist regime that we're in now. So you kind of just get to sit back and watch the ride, and it's
But
frustrating.
yeah,
say
but
the
that's
least.
but that's what I mean. Like you look at Masters, right? Okay. So he's got the ideas, he's intelligent, he has the looks, the family, his venture capitalist experience. I mean people are like, oh, he's glowy Theo plant, but whatever, right? It's like he has the stuff, he's got what you could see as like, a Republican president would look like, ideally, archetypally. So the fact that the Republican Party is sort of trying to squash him in the afterbirth is like disgusting. It's terrible. Like, it's I have no I can't, I'm Canadian. I shouldn't care as much about this because the thing is in Canada, there's no hope. I mean, I'm going to have to hold my nose and vote for the Conservatives in 2025. Which, I mean, I don't know. Palaver's all right. I mean, he's not. He'd be like a Democrat in America, but like, you know, he'd be like a red Democrat. But I want to get off Mr. Bones Wild Ride. There's no getting off Mr. Bones Wild Ride. Okay, no getting off. But yeah, people are saying Carrie Lake is still a woman though. But no,
So
Blake Masters, he really
we'll
has
talk about that in a
everything,
minute.
in my opinion. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it's just these creatures around the Republican Party, like Mitch McConnell. Like, I don't understand why we haven't learned lessons from 2020. It's incredible.
Actually, Pharaoh's got a comment here that I think is important to piggyback off of in this.
Oh
discussion.
yeah, the anti-Trump. Yeah.
Well, no,
They're
because
saying
everyone
this,
today was saying is that like Trump law or Trump's like form of republicanism.
This was
lost.
a referendum on Trump. Like,
this is a referendum on Trump. Like DeSantis is the only way forward now. And I'm like, I saw David Frum write that in the Atlantic, and like every alarm bell in my head went off. I was like, all right, got to get the fuck out of this place. You know, just that's a little terrifying to think that, like, oh, why is, you know, arch neoconservative anti-Trumpler kind of guy, like, here we go, this is where we're at.
Ron DeSanctimonious. Yeah, but DeSantis did, like, him and little Marco, I mean, they did like
great
something unprecedented in Florida. So, you know, I can't fault them for that.
I mean, that state's solidly red. I mean, that's that used to be
it's redder than red
battleground, and now it's the fundamentally like GOP state of the union, which is great, I think. In all actuality,
but come on, do those people like, you know, in the media, did they honestly believe that they were gonna, like, those Hispanics were gonna vote for that woman over Marco Rubio? Come on, that wasn't gonna happen. Nobody likes that.
They really think a bunch of Cubans were going to vote for a black woman.
Exactly.
That's exactly. This is the thing that I kind of look forward to in this weird sort of voyeuristic pleasure about, like, you know, post-racial America is that, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, post-racial, is that you already saw a little taste of this in the Los Angeles City Council bit where those Hispanics were saying some really nasty things. Some of them resigned. I think one of them didn't. And then, like, at the beginning when Biden got elected, they had came out and they had said, well, like, listen, you know, people like Jesse Jackson and all, you know, Al Sharpton is who he was talking to. And he was just like, you need to understand, we're not going to be the majority anymore. You're going to have to learn to get along with all the other races, bucko. And it's just like, I kind of look forward to that.
Even the gay district, the gay village in Miami voted for DeSantis. Like, that's incredible. Like, see, that'll be the future of the Republican Party. Christian Herschel and gay Cubans that came over in the 80s.
This is can't wait. Can't wait. I'm like, hide the pain, Harold, right now. Can't wait.
But that take though, that's amazing.
I don't know, Fishy Frenzy. I think another disease humbled them.
Oh, the 80s ones? Are you kidding me? No.
Well, I didn't just humble them, it buried them, but you know.
You know, it's funny though, a lot of like the older gays that survived the 80s, it's like the fact that they're voting Republican, like, you know, we're gonna teach these Zoomers a lesson with their Truvada. How dare they? They didn't put in their dues. They, you know, gonna teach them a lesson.
This Caesar will be a
gay classical liberal. Oh,
I believe it though. That's a terrifying thing. I want someone to write that story. That could be that easily could be a Zero HP Lovecraft story.
Yeah,
or a transmogrified.
And these transzoomers are going to teach him a lesson. They didn't know what it was like going to a bathhouse in the 80s. You know, terrified.
Like, here's the thing. It is 2048. Christian Walker has discovered an untold treasure trove of classical liberal takes from a man known as Carl Benjamin. He takes the stand. Do you solemnly swear?
I saw him there to protect
Lovecraft story.
Yeah, he'll start reading Locke. You know, like, is that the real Brian Daniels? Can you imagine if Brian Danielson showed up in our chat right now? No one is talking about Kanye and Kerry. Wonder how many people were changed from that. Yeah, I know.
That was the fun thing on Twitter was, you know, this Elon Musk Twitter where it was like Kanye, Kyrie, The Noticing were all the three top trending topics on Twitter at the same time. So I mean, The thing though is, I just wonder, how does that get into the heads of sort of like, evangelical sort of middle America voters that are just ardently not really woke on that question at all.
Yeah, yeah. That is. Well, I don't know. Like it is weird, like how I mean, maybe if Florida teaches us anything, it's that Republicans, I know it's a cope, like the natural conservative thing, but like maybe they should have really like started, like I don't know, like the problem is like how are you going to balance like an agenda that does have border security and anti-immigration with the Hispanic voter base. Like I think that if they could really like rig it so that um if they could plant the seed in the idea that mass immigration doesn't benefit the Hispanics that are already here in America. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of like the alchemy. And maybe like DeSantis is like, if the one good thing that he does is to prove that yes, it's true that you could essentially that you could essentially sell it to Hispanics that more of like an overtly right-wing agenda maybe not will 100% benefit you, but it certainly will benefit you more. And let's face it, there's that other, demographic in America that is very much, you know, the Republicans always try to appeal to, but never will. And it'll never happen. Like, African Americans in America will always vote. They'll vote blue no matter who. And I think that if the Republicans, if they stop, like, this is an old take, but if they stop like appealing to this like cult of authenticity of like, Black Americans, it's like, I don't know. I think one demographic is looking more solidly like the future of the Republican Party, unless the demographic situation in America were to change, but I don't hold out.
This isn't an LBJ take or like about them going to the Democrats since LBJ. Yeah. I mean, I get LBJ's got the famous. I don't think it's an apocryphal quote, but it's just like, I'll get them to vote, Democrat for the next 200 years. I mean, the Republicans lost to that ethnic demographic in the night of the Depression. So they lost it to FDR. They lost it to Herbert. Like Herbert Hoover kind of cost them that. And I mean, hey, whatever. But this is how it is, right? This is the future of how things are going to break down. And, that traditional high-minded fiscal conservatism, Jack Kemp style of politics is gone. It's dead. And so the thing that's probably going to come is going to be the future of battle of Gibbs and grievance politics that I think is here to stay. And that's just going to be the case. It's just everyone is going to be whittled down to what category do you fall into and what kind of like Gib grift are you going to be running for from here on out. And that was sort of the thing that came to my mind when I was listening to BAP and AA yesterday, was just like, if you totally got rid of it and made it completely illegal to where the only thing that existed now was like pure freedom of association. And even if you got rid of that, where he was talking about like it being ethnic gangsterism, then, I mean, really the quickest way that you could correct shit almost overnight would be to reinstitute IQ tests for employment and education. But like it's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 would not survive if that was
that's around. Essentially illegal in America.
There's a Supreme Court case that says you can't do it.
Well, exactly. It would violate the civic religion. I mean, obviously, but
I mean, the civic. And then here's the funny thing: the civic religion's dead. I think that's something to keep in mind. It's, but I mean, the basic calculation I think coming here from here on out is just going to be things are going to get increasingly uncomfortable. You should be looking towards your friends and immediate networks to, one, stay employed so that you can provide for your family, and two, and rely on these networks that are not always going to be explicitly political in order to pull forward here. And the reason why I say this, and the reason why there's the McRib picture as the thumbnail.
The McRib picture,
Yeah, one, because it's like the farewell tour, right? This is the end of things.
Yeah, really, though, they're going to bring it back.
They're going to bring it back. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like,
hey, we don't have it in Canada, though. They didn't bring it to Canada again. I can't believe this.
Well,
terrible.
The diesel prices probably kept our trucks from ever crossing the border. Maybe Trudeau just doesn't like truckers full of American slop coming up. Trying not to say
boy slop. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. And so I called today's stream the present time in reference to Soren Kierkegaard's The Present Age. And I was rereading this essay earlier this last week, and I thought that it would be really good for us to sort of read and break down because I think a
Yeah.
lot of it has held up really well, especially in today's current age. I'm going to share it on screen so we can just read along. There we go. So,
There. Look at this quote by Spasticus Autisticus. The
where is it?
GOP is trying to survive by tricking Hispanics into thinking they're white. Lamau. Well, I mean,
Well,
there's.
here's the thing, though. Up until 2017, more and more Hispanics were dropping the Hispanic or Latino label to be called white.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the game in Hollywood up until the Great Awakening, where actors stopped wanting to change their name. Actually, I do want to be Ramirez or whatever. Actually, I do want to be Rosenberg instead of Jack or White or whatever. So it's part of the trend, but. Here we go. That is a good quote, though. I mean, that's kind of what it's been. And then, of course, this is the present age, which was written quite a while ago. So we're going back 150 years or so to get to the present age, but we'll get into it. Here we go. Oh. The present age is one of understanding, of reflection, devoid of passion, an age which flies into enthusiasm for a moment only to decline back into indolence. Not even offing yourself does away with himself out of depression. He considers the act so long and so deliberately that he kills himself with thinking. One could barely call it suicide since it is thinking which takes his life. He does not kill
Oh,
himself
you said it.
doesn't matter. I'll be fine. With deliberation, but rather kills himself because of deliberation. Therefore, one cannot really prosecute this generation for its art, its understanding, its virtuosity, and good sense lies in reaching a judgment or a decision and not taking action. I feel like that kind of applies to a lot of us online where it's the analysis paralysis.
Yeah, I think, well, even me, like trying to write something or do a video, it's like there's so much things you want to include that it takes me forever. Yeah, it's the nature of our information networks is largely responsible for that. But I think also it's just the need to know nowadays. Byung-Chul Han talks about this with idiotism at the end of Psychopolitics, which, by the way, go to my Patreon to see my long 10-hour multiple episode breakdown of Psychopolitics. But at the end, he talks about idiotism, how it's not really like a celebration of ignorance. It's more of this a celebration of unknowing and being comfortable with that, and being comfortable with the way in which you turn yourself off from the demand to know, in a sense. And I wanted to write this thread I had about the nature of intelligence, how like open-mindedness doesn't necessarily correlate with intelligence or a high IQ, because you can end up like justifying your own worldview in a more like nuanced way. And so there's something inside of you that always pulls towards like, yeah, but I can find a good reason for what I'm doing or what I'm thinking and believing all the time. Whereas like most people that don't have that, they just come off as ignorant, but yet they still have a warranted belief about, I don't know, politics or whatever. But you can like trick yourself more effectively by having a higher IQ or whatever, by essentially always believing what you believe in, but finding justifications for that more easily. So it's like in a way, intelligence can fool you in some respect. It can give you a false picture of your own capacity for independent thought. But when it comes to like this, like always being overloaded with information, it can also trick you into thinking that you possess wisdom or the ability to decipher that information.
It was like
Most
that
people can't.
Dunley Krupka tweet where he was taking the bit from Goodwill Hunting.
Oh,
Where,
yeah.
yeah, Chip never jerk off in nature. What mean? Yeah, you just picked up BAP. Maybe you read some e-celebs. You're gonna come up with something
read a
original. You're
Rolodex?
just gonna quote the greats.
Yeah, you're gonna quote, Revolt Against the Modern World next. Yeah, that was great, man.
But I mean, you're definitely right. Where I think in this, for our present time, in today's year of our Lord 2022, we're definitely in that terrible struggle of constantly wanting to know things. Like,
Yeah.
and I cover international relations, and I'll get messages or DMs all the time, like, "Hey, man, are you following this? Are you following this?" I'm like, I'm not God. I can't be aware of everything all at
Yeah.
once. But you want to know at all times. That's why I'm like covering things that might be old or might seem different. But I'm like, no, I just want to do my due diligence on it. But at the same time, like my due diligence is going to be sidetracked by the fact that I want to know what else is going on.
Yeah.
But he continues saying, just as one might say about revolutionary ages that they run out of control, one might say about the present age is that it doesn't run at all. The
Hmm.
individual and the generation come between and stop each other. And therefore, the prosecuting attorney would find it impossible to admit any fact at all because nothing happens in this generation. From a flood of indications, one might think that there's either something extraordinarily happened or something extraordinary was just about to happen. But
Oh,
one will have
millennials in a
thought.
nutshell.
I was about to say, yeah.
Fuck.
It's the never-ending cycle of it's happening or it's over,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or we're so back, or it's so over. But one will have thought wrong for indications. The only thing that this present age achieves and its skill and virtuosity entirely consist in building magical illusions, its momentary enthusiasms, which some projected change in the forms of things as an escape for actually changing the forms. Oh, hold on, I totally butchered that.
Hmm.
Its momentary enthusiasms, which some projected change in the forms of things as an escape for actually changing the forms of things, are the highest in the scale of cleverness and the negative use of that strength, which is the passionate and creating energy during revolutionary ages.
Oh man, I hope 2016 wasn't like a huge pseudo event, and that really Turbo America is
Well, I mean, that's the building magical illusions, momentary enthusiasms for which project,
mm,
like we project change onto. I
oh
think this is the
no.
thing about Kierkegaard. There are three people I think that really kind of read well together. And these are going to sound like really off, but I'm going to make the case for it real quick. Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and Walter Lippmann. I think that if you
Oh,
read those
so
three,
one is not like the other.
one
like,
is not like one is not like the other. Of course, one of these things is not like the
like the
other. One
other.
of these dudes is based. But anyways, like the reason why I say that you can read all three of these together, despite the fact that Kierkegaard is like probably the antithesis of all things that Nietzsche has wrote, just because
Mm, yeah.
Kierkegaard's existentialism is more of a complaint and asking for us to return to the mysticism and the incarnation of Christ, whereas well, we know what Nietzsche argues with regards to Christianity.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
reason why I think that these three read really well together is for the following. One, I think Kierkegaard and Nietzsche kind of look at their present time. They're 19th century they're not really contemporaries, but they kind of are. And they kind of look at what has happened both during the period of the revolution. I mean, Kierkegaard lived through this era of revolution throughout Europe. He died at 47, shortly after the revolutions in 1848. And he is someone that I kind of recognize as where things have gotten to a point where mankind is looking for existential purpose and meaning, typically because they've devolved them away from Christ, and in that regard. But the reason why I find him and Nietzsche kind of pair well together is they both take a look at the revolutionary spirit in different ways. Whereas Nietzsche might argue the incarnations of slave morality kind of go back to the religiosity that is the
Mm.
dominant religion in Europe. Kierkegaard, I think, kind of complements it well, saying that no, the slave morality is the existential dread, which is the very thing that Nietzsche warns about, which is nihilism. And
Well, I
then the
would say
reason,
Nietzsche is both like he would say that both are slave morality, but like Kierkegaard is saying that one is more. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
the last man is the ultimate creature of slave morality at the end of the
yeah,
day.
and the last man and the last man is probably the most existential person that kind of wants at it because he can't look at anything and derive meaning for it, but he longs for meaning, but he
Yeah.
can't create anything, which I think kind of fits well with the present age. But and then the last but not least, between those two is Lippmann, because you get people living in pseudo realities. People are constantly wanting to be told about things, the natural progression of wanting meaning and finding meaning in your slave master. And then finally, that when we do try and create information or news and about it, all that we really do is create our own ideas of what has meaning. And when we fall into dread, when we find out that that meaning isn't real in regards to the greater context and picture.
Mm.
And I think that all three kind of give us a pretty good warning of what not to be. and what not to fall into. And that's just my like sort of I'm thinking this through, but I think that those three really do kind of read well together. Although Nietzsche's definitely the odd man out. But I read Ecce Homo and I see sort of this like companion, if not response, reply guide to Kierkegaard in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. But I think that they complement each other. Uh, especially as someone myself reading it from a Christian perspective. I mean, there's a lot of things that Christians can get out of reading Nietzsche. I don't think that you should dismiss him entirely out of hand, even if you
But
don't like Nietzschean pagan guys on Twitter.
yeah, but what would you think is the thing that they collectively warn against besides like just being a mark for yourself? Like what like the sort of sickness of the century type of thing? Like what, like in other words, what are you alluding to? Like what do you really see like the thread, like what they're all three of them saying, don't be like this. Um
So
yeah.
between the existential crisis of meaning and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
like Kierkegaard kind of calls out some of and here's the thing for like like in a Western Christian perspective, Kierkegaard is calling out the fact that like enlightenment reasoning like the logic aspect, which is always interesting because like for
Mm,
instance, Rene Descartes, his whole idea about the pure reason and logic, he says it was divine to him by an angel.
yeah,
But
that's right. When he was a part of the Habsburg army.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
I know
that
Terrence McKenna loved that story, by the way. Like he
it's
always,
a great
yeah,
story. It's kind of
yeah,
nuts to think that the guy that kind of like I don't want to say he's a proto new atheist or anything like that, but a lot of people who in the new atheist movement kind of use a lot of Descartes, his work to sort of get
yeah.
where they're. I mean, early Sam Harris and early Richard Dawkins, notorious use of him, and you can kind of see their
Oh
rhetoric
yeah.
match some of his writings. But what I mean by what these Lippmann is sort of the cherry on top. Of what I mean about Nietzsche and Kierkegaard, and again, I'm thinking this through just because I've been pursing through a lot of my old philosophy books. I'm trying to read more. And the thing that I think that both of them kind of warn against is the thing that I think that they both try and warn against, whether it is the last man or the slave morality, is the same sort of thing that Kierkegaard kind of discusses in regards to what man tries to become without any sort of animating purpose. And for, of course, Kierkegaard, that's Christ. Nietzsche would argue otherwise. But I think that both sort of offer a warning against what happens when man has no meaning and tries to derive meaning for himself. And that usually slips into either people creating illusions for themselves where it really has no meaning,
Mm,
or people incapable of looking at the world around them and trying to identify, well, what is a star, or what's so beautiful about the landscape around them. And I think that you see that a lot nowadays, and this is why I think Lippmann is the cherry on top to it, because people will try and create meaning without things by themselves, and they'll allow themselves in a very real existential crisis that plays out every day, which is why our population in the West is so heavily medicated on
mm-hmm.
SSRIs and other drugs, is that the pseudo reality that they want to buy into, which is a liberal slave morality of eschatology, it leaves them to be this literally walking generation of last men. I mean, we saw that just clear and present with that fat, obese woman. I don't even know if it's
From
that woman
Texas.
from Texas
What's her
talking
name?
about Gen
Olivia
Z.
Juliana. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I don't
She's
know.
like some organizer, some Dem like
Yeah,
youth
she's a Dem
organizer.
organizer. I think she's a part of like some Hispanic
She
Democrat
organizes the
movement.
McRibs at the conference.
There you go. Yeah, she
I know I
organized.
shouldn't make fun of a fat person, but it's like I know it's just
But you're right wing,
Catholic,
Gio.
she's too fat even for me. She's too fat
It's
even for Gio, okay?
oh, you found it.
So
We have found the limit.
we found the limit.
We
I mean,
found the limit on the scale.
if she was a base straight winger, I wouldn't say that though. But maybe I don't know. I'd give her a wood, like the Asian chick
Mm,
that started being racist on the subway, and even like ZHP's like, this is my most problematic wood. I go, oh my god.
no man.
Yeah, go ahead. What about her?
Oh well, just like she's ascribing meaning to something, right? Like, oh, this is it. Gen
We
Z
saved
finally has a purpose.
democracy.
We saved democracy. It's like, no, you're a slave to a system.
I just love the fact that in America, well, in Canada too, but we like to pretend that it's not real, that we don't just have two parties, right? Same in Britain, right? Like we like to pretend with the parliamentary system that there's not just two parties, but actually one party if you want to talk about Britain. But it's so funny how the Republicans are treated like this alien, subversive evil force when you literally live in a fucking two-party system. right? Like, you know what I mean? It's literally the other branch of the governing body of America is the Republican Party. So they're treated like if the Republicans get into office again, then democracy is ruined. The messianic hope of the post-history liberal order is done for. Like it's so mind-bogglingly stupid that like, oh, but the Zoomers, remember that other tweet I capped, right? The one about the millennials, about like Zoomers did their jobs. A generation doesn't have a job, okay? Not even the greatest generation knew that fighting the war was going to be their job. You know what I mean? Like it's so like this type of thinking is so instrumentalized in such a stupid way that I'm, you know what I mean? Like it's just, but anyways, go ahead about this pig.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
these people are, and I hate to sound so like really mean here, but it's just like these fat blobs, these fat mystery meat blobs, have deranged themselves into thinking that the only way
She was born in
existential
2002.
hope,
She looks like she's 45.
well, that's what, like
Yeah.
500 pounds, and what's the word? Hybrid, hybrid, whatever. But anyways,
Transmogrification does
well,
to you. Yeah.
this is what hop into the transmogrifier, Hobbs. We'll see what happens. You know,
But it's like
well,
a different type of fat
who's
person.
the real
because
winner of Calvin Ball now? But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that like you have a vast degree of population, and what they believe to be, and this isn't a revolutionary age for them. This is the present time that we live
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
They're not causing revolution. What they are is they are nothing more but people dying for meaning, and will do anything to feel something because
And they're
they've become
pawns.
so.
I mean, let's face it.
Well, yeah, well, that's the point. They have a slave morality to a liberal eschatology, and they will do anything to prescribe meaning to themselves because the hole in the back of their heads, what Pascal would call a God-shaped hole, is telling them that they must be something. They must do something. And what do? They slip into a pseudo-reality, as Lippmann would tell us about in Public Opinion, and they long for the experts to tell them things. What does the priest class tell them for their salvation? Vote Democrat. Here is your great Satan. Here is what you need to do in order to secure yourself and
Yeah.
before I go down a variation of certain
But I love how like Zoomer Democrats, they like have this like, they get this from like campy LGBT culture.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they took the campiness from like 80s queerness,
Yeah.
and it's just become the default Democrat
And it's
personality.
childlike in a way. Yeah, but notice how like Zoomer right wingers are like, never mind. You know what they're posting? They're posting anime and edits of the Austrian painter. Like it's.
Well, it was, I don't know who tweeted, I think it was on Telegram or Twitter, but there was a picture, it was called like the most opinionated, and it was this like lanky Zoomer permed white guy in a Let's Go Brandon hoodie.
I love that.
Tentatively shaking hands with some short girl of unknown descent with a, Black Power revolutionary fist on her white hoodie that was done in gold, which I thought was just perfect for optics here. But it's like, that's the future, right? There you go.
That's the future, yeah.
But that's why to use that fat Zoomer Democrat activist as a reason. That's why I think that these three thinkers and writers kind of pair well together to kind of help us understand our present time and our present era. Because even though this is Democracy Manifest, right? Who counts the votes, and all that jazz. Like at the end of the day, what does this all lead to? The same kind of thing that, you joke about, but it's the thing that Bap wrote about. It's just like, well, imagine that the next set of camps are going to be guarded by these Martin Sheen looking, lesbians with a bush haircut of unknown descent, keeping you inside. Like, there you are.
Yeah.
You joke about your Giga Longhouse favelavism thing, because that's just, it's great for the memes and what, but I'm like, here it is. And like, here are three people that can really help you understand how we got to here.
I love how it was also retweeted by Heinrich from Reddit, so that was pretty funny. It was retweeted by Bishbura. But I should get him on the show.
He follows me, shit. You should get him on the show.
I should. But I talked to him on Follow the Rules. But no, it's funny, like that tweet, like the Giga Longhouse favela planet. Like it is funny, like to say that your generation is this monolith that has a purpose of like saving democracy because they care about the environment and a woman's right to choose. And it's like, oh, by the way, that other Cope take about, the Republicans lost because of the overturning of because of Dobbs. Like, it's like, that's just pure Cope. But it's just like, to think generationally like that.
How much Cope is that though? Because I mean, what was the purpose of leaking it early?
No, I mean that the Republicans lost because they're pro-life. I think that's Cope.
Okay.
No. Oh, but what do you mean by Cope? You mean like?
I thought you meant like they were coping because like,
No, I was talking with the line like they're like, oh, the Republicans lost because women. Well, I mean, there is a certain section of like. Here's the thing: if you look at single women versus women who are married, their voting patterns dramatically different. There is a segment of women in America that even if they pretend to be based in red pilled or whatever, they will vote Democrat because they have this instinctual thing of like, oh, I'm losing control over my own body. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, but when it comes to married women though, they've solidly vote Republican, almost of all demographics too, which is kind of, if a married woman has children, she will more likely vote Republican. So married white woman has children, she'll most definitely vote Republican. But no, I think like, what do you make of that take? Like really quickly, that like they lost because the Republican Party's pro-life.
No, well, we lost. I mean, if that's the case, right? Well, then if that the deck is just stacked against you. I mean, the age of marriage is higher than ever before. People are having less children, and there is a birth control to SSRI pipeline that is going to make sure that these women stay fucking insane forever. And it's not like men are any better, because I mean, like, men are filled with microplastics and xenoestrogens that make them the perfect choice for women to choose them as mates while they're on said stuff. And it's only getting worse. I mean, we saw the Tucker Carlson documentary about how fucked men are in the West. And so it's just like, oh, what a great way to usher in replacement migration and shit like that. So it's just like, oh, well, the fun deck is fundamentally stacked against you. And the other thing too is just the sheer nature of propagandistic stuff that is flooded in through Netflix, Twitter, social media 24/7, where, oh, your goofy dad, your goofy white dad is like always the bumbling moron in every commercial. Although I was surprised when Oatly used a black father to talk about why Oatly is better than real milk, which probably makes sense because, genetics. But I just couldn't help but chuckle at that. I was like, wow, that's a little bold of you to not use a white older man as the fall guy in your commercial.
Is the African American, is it true, like the lactose intolerant thing?
Well, I mean that tends to happen a little later in their life. But yeah, I mean it's more common with them than us R1B gangs.
True. But it is funny though how even irregardless of race, that married women with kids will tend to vote Republican in America, but like they'll tend to vote more right wing than, like, if the demographic even more than other demographics in America that conservatives will never reach, or like in North America and Europe and elsewhere in the West, the demographic that they will never reach is women over the age of 35 that don't have kids and aren't married. Single like cat ladies will never vote right wing unless they're like some aberration, like some Ann Coulter aberration.
It was like that group chat that we're in where I just sent that like anti-suffragette ad or political cartoon from 100 years ago, where it's just like, oh, at 45 a suffragette, because she's not married yet anytime prior. It's just like, well, that some things are eternally true. Some things are just Lindy,
some things, unless you're like some like weird, like, Amanda Millis, Man Coulter, like, unless you're something like an older woman who like, not that Amanda Millis is older, but like, exceptions to the rule. But like, if you're, even if a woman has like a single mother, I think also will tend to vote conservative more. Well, I mean, they won't be if they're in a certain demographic, like a certain like economic class. Even like, I think single mothers will vote conservative more. But single mothers vote Democrat for an obvious reason. Obviously, I mean, the social welfare. But like, anyways, moving on. It's just. There's some the whole I greatly fear for the childless single, aging millennial women, as we've always
Oh,
come back to on this
I
show.
mean,
But
yeah, it always
yeah,
comes back to the fact that there's going to be a mental health crisis like never before in the next 5 to 10 years.
yeah.
Um, the individual, no matter how well meaning he might be, no matter how much strength he might have, if only he would use it, does not have the passion to rip himself away from either the coils of reflection or the seductive ambiguities of reflection, nor do the surroundings and times have any events or passions, but rather provide a negative setting of a habit of reflection, which plays with
Mm.
some illusory project only to betray him in the end with a way out. It shows him that the most clever thing to do is nothing at all. Vis inertiae is the foundation of, oh man, what a fun word here. Tergiversation of the times, and every passionless person congratulates himself for being the first to discover it, and becomes therefore more clever. Weapons were freely given out during the revolutionary ages, but in the present age, everyone is given clever rules and calculators in order to aid one's thinking. If any generation had the diplomatic task of postponing action so that it might appear that something were about to happen, even though it would never happen, then one would have to say that our age has achieved as mightily as the revolutionary ages. Someone should try an experiment with himself. He should forget everything he knows about the times and its relativity, amplified by its familiarity, and then come into this age as if he were from another planet and read some book or some article in the newspaper, and he will have this impression: something is going to happen tonight, or something else happened last night. Oh, that just feels like Twitter right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He should forget everything he knows about the times and it's relatively amplified to its familiarity. If you were another planet to read some book for some article newspaper, something is going to happen tonight, or else nothing happens last night. Yeah,
Hashtag not happening, gang.
not
Hashtag it's
happening.
happening.
Shout out to Horace Finkelstein. Hashtag not happening. But no, so the this passage, no matter how many strength he might have, if only he would use it, does not have the passion to rip himself away from either the coils of reflections or seductive ambiguities of reflection, nor does he surroundings and times have any of inner passions, but rather provide a negative setting for a habit of reflection. Is he saying that we are offered to false reflection,
Let's see what
or it's
he
like the
has a footnote
pretense
here.
of reflection that
Okay,
matters
so
more?
the word has two meanings in Kierkegaard. Reflection is thinking or deliberation as opposed to doing, or two,
Yeah,
most
yeah.
importantly, reflection, being the kind of mirror you derive meaning to you. Oh, no! Okay, hold on. Let me
Oh god,
reload the P. Stop sharing real quick. That was odd. Let me reload the
weird.
PDF. There we go. Okay, it's back. But yeah, definitely. No, 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 no. I clicked the link on it, not the share screen again. We're good here, friends. We're good here. But yeah, no, just reflection on how things operate comes to mind
Hmm.
immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that all the time. I mean, like we just become, digital narcissists where we get so high off of our own clout or our own drama that we have to constantly start more, and we have to constantly keep looking at ourselves. We have to keep looking at
Yeah.
the metrics, and it doesn't even just apply to like e-politics. It applies to every YouTuber or
Everything.
major content creator. Where like you're a slave to the algorithm. You are a slave to the passions of making sure that you're okay. And you
Yeah.
can't ever rip yourself from it. You can't just do what you want to, because for most of these people, it's your livelihood or it's your clout that you like
Sense of
try and pull
self.
out and put on the table.
Yeah, and I'm not exempt from this either, but like
Neither am I.
but I think that the second order reflection thing is important because we never do get a moment to like truly reflect or like chew on the purpose of what we're doing or what we're putting out there or even what we're reading in the moment or watching in the moment. It's always like the constant stream, the constant bombardment of everything. There is really no moment to like sit back and reflect upon what you're doing. Um, so let's read here. Which plays some illusory project only to betray himself in the end with a way out. It shows him that the most clever thing to do is nothing at all. Well, that's true. In the fondness of the trigger. Yeah, you should forget everything you know is about the time of reflection. But yeah, well, let's continue. I think that
I,
yeah.
let's forget everything that we know, and then it's just like I think about all kinds of uh, how the media operates for you to not paint connect the dots together, just like,
Yeah.
oh, this was being said years ago. Oh, this was said there. Oh, but we get distracted by current thing.
It's almost like even with internet drama, like or even with
Oh,
like
man, like you want to
yeah.
blast from the past? Do you remember the whole like Achilles thing from like
Yeah.
January of this year? Feels like a century ago, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh, you know what happened? Radek came back to Twitter.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Radek came back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So well anyways. No, it almost reminds me of like WWE where they'll like pretend like a previous storyline from years ago between two wrestlers just like never happened. And so they'll write something new. A lot of like e-drama is like that, like when you just pretend nothing happened between whoever because like they have the greater enemy to go after. It's really strange. It's really funny. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah. A revolutionary age is an age of action. The present age is an age of advertisement or an age of publicity. Nothing happens, but there is an instant publicity about it. A revolt in the present age is the most unthinkable act of all. Such a display of strength would confuse the calculating cleverness of the times. Nevertheless, some political virtuoso might achieve something nearly as great. He would write himself some manifesto or some other which calls for a general assembly in order to decide on a revolution, and he would write it so carefully that even the censor himself would pass on it at the General Assembly so that he would manage to bring it to the audience and believe that it actually had rebelled, and then everyone would placidly go home after they had spent a very nice evening out. I wonder sometimes if that's how it feels when we write long screeds on the internet or anything
Yeah.
like that. I feel I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Oh god.
Revolt against the modern world, but it's like the meme about, all right guys, we've secured our 50 acres of territory, like what's everyone brought? It's like, I brought my books.
I brought my book. Yeah, I brought my books. God.
And some would say, and I'm sure the response to this would be like, well, in the present age there is revolution, or that people will do it, and it's just like we haven't. I mean, the structure of government in the West is still here.
Yeah.
Like no one has called a general assembly, and we haven't started. That Trevor Moore song, "A Time for Guillotines," like that hasn't happened yet.
Based World hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
We haven't gotten Based World. If anything, we're naturally going down the path of existential crises, creating slave moralities for fat shit libs on Twitter to say how they've won when they haven't. They've only become slaves to the very system that enslaved them.
Yeah, but they don't know that because they're given like meaningless victories and dopamine by the regime.
That's what Gibbs are for.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. I mean, it is, you could ask, like, do these people have any self-reflection? Do they like think how this is going to destroy the very fabric of society? It's like, no, they don't care. They don't have that pause because it's like, we're evil to them. So, whatever happens to us, it doesn't matter. What happens to them, it doesn't matter as long as they've gotten to destroy the enemy. But, so you can't really, in a way, it's like liberating in a way, like the Schmittian type of thinking, because it's like, you don't have to like do the typical conservative, like, don't they realize they're being hypocrites? It's like, no, it's like, they don't care. It's not hypocrisy to them. It's not hypocrisy.
It's not hypocrisy
No.
to them. But then the other question that you kind of have to ask yourself in the back of your head is, it's not hypocrisy. They just don't have agency.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a lot of them don't have agency. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's, the ones that do are terrifying, but the ones that most of them, like, I'm sure this fat woman we're beefing on, like, she really does not have agency. Let's face it. Like, and it's not to say that we have superior agency or whatever. Like, I think the rationalists, they like, harp on agency. I think like that's, not really a proper metric of like determining worth or authenticity. But at the same time, it's like, as consciously aware of the fact that we probably don't have as much agency as we like to think we do compared to these people. I mean, compared to like creatures of the regime, it's like, I don't even feel like David Frum has that much agency, but like, anyways. Yeah.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But
He's
actually,
possessed by
I
demons,
think he's
so
got more. But he's possessed
he's
by a
got
demon.
more than the activists on the ground, but he's still possessed by demons. So that's
There you go.
yeah.
Nevertheless, okay, where did we leave off?
Nevertheless, some scientific virtuoso might
There,
achieve something
thank you.
else greater. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, well, if you wanted to read it, go
Oh,
for it.
okay, yeah. Nevertheless, some scientific virtuoso might achieve something even greater. He would draw up some prospectus outlining systematically some all embracing, all explaining system that he was able to write. And he would manage to achieve of the fear of convincing the reader or of the prospectus that he had in fact read the entire system. The age of encyclopedias is gone, where with great pain might wrote large folios. Now we have an age of intellectual tourists, small little encyclopedists who here and there deal with all scientific and all existence, all the sciences and all existence, and as a generous religious rejection of the world, following or followed with constant self-denial is equally unthinkable among the youth of our time. Nevertheless, some Bible college student has the virtuosity to achieve something even greater. He could design some projected group or society which aims to serve those who are lost. The age of great achievers is gone. The present age is an age of anticipators. Well, we should stop there.
Man,
Wow, that's
in
to
all
a T.
draw up some prospectus outlining a systematically all-embracing, all-explaining system that he was about to write, and would manage to achieve the feat of convincing the reader that he had read the entire system. Gee, how many theories have we all
Man,
tried to read up on about
a lot of
what
word cells.
all-encompassing experiences or politics? Like, oh, here's the systematically all-embracing, all-explaining system of the cathedral or something.
Yeah. This is why, like, I don't fetishize over systematizing things. I mean, I don't have a grand system to work out. I just really go at things more intuitively, I guess you could say.
I mean, like
Than
it's
most
such
theory
a
cells.
it's such an enlightenment project. I think like even sort of the Marxist lens of analysis. Like structural views. Like I think of Wallerstein almost instantly. World systems
Yeah.
theory. Like you have to do it and embrace it in this kind of way, but um, all that it does is for you to anticipate how things do. And I mean that's sort of the critique that gets levied against like structural realists in international relations is
Yeah.
that you can anticipate and have a good guess as to how states will act, but that's about it. Is just you're an anticipator. You're not one. And I mean it's different when you're actually analyzing systems in a way
Mm.
that we do, because we do operate in sort of a, dare I say, rules-based international system. I mean, like we
Tuh.
do we operate in a
What
in a
rules?
system. I know
Nobody
what.
knows the rules, and it changes all the. Sorry, I'm quoting.
Well,
You know what
that's
I'm quoting? Yeah.
that's power. I mean, it's more or less just the nature of power. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, we're a present age of anticipators. It's happening. It's not happening. It's over. We're so back.
But I think like there's something about our own epoch that leads to this sort of maybe not more than others, but it leads to this sort of eschatological thinking about like finally this is going to happen, and there's not like all the sort of things are going to be negotiated. But when you do think of like the world system, you think about like how people are living around the world, like even in the global south, like which is often neglected or ignored, like what their politics are like, what their reality is like. Um, it really does, I think, betray like millenarian thinking around most things. But there's something within our reality. Maybe it's because of the internet. Maybe it's because of the online world that does lend itself to like millenarianism like nothing else. That like like even the Zoomers that we're talking about, the Zoomer libs. Like is year zero is here.
yeah,
You
they're the
know,
most chiliastic generation I've
yeah,
ever seen.
yeah. Like look at that goblin guy with the fedora. That's like putting his middle finger up and be like, we save democracy. This is my generation. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean. Like there's something about it that that really produces this type of thinking more than anything. I don't even think like in time periods where there were like these great iconoclastic events, I don't even think they had like the same maybe some of them did, the same degree of awareness of like history changing that we do. But the problem is we probably make too much of it. We probably do make too much of like we live through a history, because we do have an awareness of it, more than other generations that lived through arguably more important events than we did. But I mean, that's whatever.
I mean, yeah, everyone wants a new. Uh, Everyone wants a new year zero. Everyone wants a new 1,000 years of egalitarian Gibbs world. It's just
This is why I love the Zoomer, like the anime racist take. Like they're trying to like revamp the image of Carl Benjamin, where they're like Gamergate was more important than 9/11. Like, and they like have like the picture of Sargon with like as a Giga Chad with like the Kekistan flag in the background. Like, yeah.
I do find the Zoomer anime racist. I just it's kind of why I like enjoyed doing that Murdoch review with Clossington and friends, because it was like, oh, someone had their own like historiography of like these events and these personalities and these takes, and I just it's like I wish I had seen this as they were coming around, but looking back on it, it was like a lighthearted sort of like historical take. Like I don't agree with them on 100% of issues, but it was like, oh, a lot of this makes sense. Like Carl Benjamin just being afraid, getting his blue pills from Ash Sarkar and others. Like,
oh man,
but yeah, just good times, good times. Oh, but
but we need revisionism above all things, I think. But
yeah,
I mean,
revisionism and historicism for sure.
But I think like, the thing is though, I feel that there really is no choice for us, because the global regime is sort of like sought this train of thinking that everything is like this end of history event. Everything's this cataclysmic fallout, that every election cycle is like the uttermost importance is, the fate of democracy and the secular world, in the post-enlightenment world order is, hanging in the balance. Like the only way you could really defeat that thinking is by having an equally like at one end preposterous, but not really preposterous form of like millenarian thinking now, where we have our own version of it's literally going to be 1,000 years of darkness unless this happens. You know what I mean? Like you can only fight fire with fire in that regard. Because if like the right wing were to be like, oh, well, we got to cool it with this way of thinking because like really nothing's happening. It's again, nothing is happening, but
speaking,
you know what I mean?
Speaking of things not happening, I noticed that you told me that Radic is back on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's got the check mark.
Yeah. Amazing. Shout out to Radic. Shout out to Right Wing Takes.
Elon's Twitter is wild.
I'm 100% pro Radic. I think Margot utterly ruined. Never mind.
Yeah. But the age of great achievers is gone. The present age is an age of okay, we've done that part. Like a youth who plans diligently to study for September 1 for an exam in order to solidify his resolve takes a holiday for the entire month of August, such is our generation, which has decided resolutely that the next generation will work very hard, and in order not to interfere or delay with this the next generation, this generation will diligently goes to parties. However, there is one difference in this comparison. The youth understands that he is lighthearted. The present age is on the contrary very serious, even at their parties. Action and passion is as absent in the present age as peril is absent from swimming in shallow waters. I mean, we are kind of safe online. I mean, we talk about, someone will just respawn on another Twitter account, but we'll take a sabbatical and we'll just read a bunch of books, and then we're like, well, it's often lamented, like the Zoomers are going to have it bad. Future generations are going to really have to, we always do the hard times create strong men. And it's just like, yeah, those strong men are right around the corner.
Just, are they? Yeah. But that's what I mean.
Just, like zapped them out of all will.
Yeah. The chemicals in food and water. But no, it is funny though. I think that, do Zoomers talk about politics more than we did when we were growing up, or do they talk about like current events? I guess like it is really weird how current events and politics have like consumed all of reality. Like even celebrities are a part of that now. Like it's really weird. It's like the culture of like Gen Xers or even like older millennials was sort of different. It wasn't apolitical, but it was like sort of kinda apolitical, or it was not apolitical, but it was sort of like the awareness of like what was happening around us wasn't felt as intensely as I guess Zoomers are going through. I mean, I don't know if Zoomers in the chat can confirm what I'm saying here. Maybe I'm just, talking out of my ass, but it seems that like because, they are the generation that is more interconnected, that inevitably what's happening in the here and now is going to in some ways become their weird form of entertainment. Like, Zoomers are no longer watching MTV programs. They're watching live streams where Richard Spencer and Sargon are calling each other stupid. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's really weird how even politics becomes their entertainment now. Like, I don't know.
I mean
It's
the
crazy.
age, it's like you guys had talked about on a Scar stream. It's just like the kayfabe of pro wrestling had become the
Yeah.
kayfabe of ideology on internet blood sports. I mean, I just think about like, even Ethan Ralph and the Kill Stream, just like that
Yeah.
era
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
online politics. It's just like
Him
it
and
became
Pokesky.
and I mean the other thing too is right, like they like Gen Z and onward, and I mean chat can confirm if I'm wrong here, but like they are the full embodiment of the personalist political. Everything that you consume is a political choice. And
Yeah.
dare I say, some of the Marxoids are right, where it's just more or less like politics has become a consumer identity and nothing
Yeah.
more, nothing less.
Yeah, exactly. And when you can like elevate the political into consumer cultural identity, then of course it's going to consume everything. Even like I say, even like I don't know, it's weird how like younger people, there's no longer, not to say that this is better, but like you remember like pop culture becomes like the thing to consume. Like everything is pop culture, and it's like not even that anymore. Even like that is like weirdly an extension of like the constant like cultural cold war that happens all the time. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's weird that way. There's no like pure celebrity dumb anymore. Um, whether that's a good or bad thing, it's up for
I
debate.
agree. I mean, yeah, that's the
Can't we go
thing.
back to when Madonna was just like some slut that danced on a cross? No, it's like we now Madonna has to like, or now Katy Perry. Apparently, Katy Perry voted for fascism though, so
Oh, she
that's
voted
pretty
for Rick
based.
Caruso, the guy that
Yeah,
basically said, "Hey, maybe cops are a good thing."
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
all right. Just
Katy Perry and Snoop Dogg voting for fascism.
all right.
So
Maybe we will get Base World. Who knows? Um, Base World is when celebrities endorse the cops. Just
oh
what a strange
yeah,
world to be in. If a precious jewel, which all desire to lay out in a frozen lake where the ice was perilously thin, where death threatened one who went out too far while the ice near the shore was safe, in a passionate age, the crowds would cheer the courage of the man who went out on the ice. They would fear for him, and with him his resolute action. They would sorrow over him if he went under. They would consider him divine if he returned with the jewel. In this passionless, reflective age, things would be different. People would think themselves very intelligent in figuring out the foolishness and the worthlessness of going out on the ice. Indeed, it would be incomprehensible and laughable, and thereby, incomprehensible and laughable, and thereby would transform passionate daring into a display of skill. The people would go and watch from safety, and the connoisseurs, with their discerning tastes, would carefully judge the skilled skater, who would go almost to the edge, that is, as far as the ice was safe, and would not go beyond this point and then swing back. The most skilled skaters would go out the furthest and venture most dangerously in order to make the crowds gasp and say, "Gods, he is insane, he would kill himself." But you will see that his skill is so perfected that he will at the right moment swing around while the ice is still safe and his life is not endangered. It's just that notice and move on, kids.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, that's the other thing too, is that like not just the online, but I also feel like with everyone and their mother having a streaming service, everyone's got their
God.
own discerning tastes about writing and TV shows and reviewing things, and
Mhm.
we all kind of gather around and take a look at the best shows. There's no One, of course, there's no common culture. There's again the mythological
Yeah.
operating becomes so high that everyone can have their own different tastes, and we can all be distracted with the terrible slop that is fed on television, and we can all be like, that was a discerning display of skill and passion for not being as woke as the other TV shows.
Ugh.
But don't worry, everything's fine. Just enjoy the slop, move on, and notice, and maybe don't care. I feel like this is kind of held up rather well.
Yeah.
Dangerous to say that, but here we are.
You make a lot of enemies saying it, but like a certain friend of ours.
Yeah,
But
a friend of ours has gotten a lot of flack for saying notice and move on, but I feel like a lot of that happens. And maybe that's why I get kind of upset when I read his tweets about that stuff. And I'm like, I see myself in these tweets, and I get really upset. But then I'm like, well, if I'm getting upset, then that's probably because the criticism is on target.
Yeah, it's true. But you know what's funny about the streaming service and how everyone has access to different things? Like, I even noticed this like in my own life with my parents. Like, it's funny, like modern like shows that are made within the last few years almost universally are trash. And so there's a lot of people that are sort of like dipping out by like just watching older media, and they're not like particularly concerned about like I felt like the 2010s was like the last gasp of like everyone was watching this one program. You know what I mean? Like everyone was watching, I don't know, like whatever
Game of
spectacle.
Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones or like Honey Boo Boo, even like older than that. Like it's, nowadays we don't have that common like thing where it's like people go around the watering hole like, did you watch this? Like there will be Game of Thrones or whatever, but even that is not like the way it was in like the early or like the mid 2000s where I don't know, everyone was watching CSI or whatever. Like it's,
Or like
as media gives you a choice, it also like gives you the ability to drop out of like the common consensus. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. What?
Well, no, I was about to say like it really did die. I guess with like
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Well, I'm not Game of but I would also say just Avengers Endgame. Like,
oh yeah.
How many people dropped off after that? Like everyone got their big sort of climax and happy endings for the characters they've watched for the last 10 years, and then that was it, right? Because I don't really pay attention to a lot of TV movie review guys, but apparently everything that's followed has been garbage.
Yeah.
I really kind of rely on iHypocrite to tell me things with that sort of stuff, because it's just like I don't want to watch it. I'm going to defer. It's just another Stained Haynes criticism. Really, I'm going to defer my moral judgment on television shows to another guy that is going to watch it for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there is the gather around the watering hole thing. We all have our own discerning tastes, and we only want those things. And,
it's all like
safe.
A real spectacle that captures people's attention is different. But in terms of like popular media, like TV shows especially, like what do most normies watch? Like what are popular TV shows nowadays? I don't know.
Yeah, Chat, maybe you might know, but then again,
Chat,
if you're
what
here,
are most most normies
what are your family watch? What's your family watching?
Yeah, are they watching cop? Do people watch cop shows still?
I mean, I don't know. There was one about like the FBI or whatever, and I was just like, and it's just like you're so heckin' diverse FBI that's gonna stop. I'm like, well, yeah, it's all propaganda, the same way 24 was. So it's just like, it's just
24. Oh my god,
it's just the anti-white 24.
Man, the last cop show I watched was one from like the 90s in Australia. Okay, there you go. Shout out to my Australian fans. Did you guys? If there's anyone from Australia listening to this, what time is it in Australia? What day is it in Australia? Oh, okay.
On the 11th.
But if you listen,
unless you're Furious Pertinax, I don't even know how he gets any sleep.
Yeah, I know. Eh? Maybe he's watching Blue Healers reruns like I do. So, but no, it's like let's see in the chat here. My favorite TV show is Total War Warhammer 3. What is that? Total War. What is that?
The intersectional Jack Bauer.
Intersectional Jack Bauer. Yeah, The Shield is good bat, but that's his like favorite cop show.
It's 8 a.m. in Sydney. Oh, do they not do daylight savings? Maybe that's why like the time zones are off. But they also have pretty big. They also have time zones like we do.
Yeah. Geo, the 2008 GFC changed everything. but shows slowly began before 2000. Still had their inertia in the 2010s. Yeah, but it pretended only by 2014. Yeah, it was over by 2014 exactly. Chicago Fire. People still have that. That Chicago still is still
There's
going
like
on.
Chicago Fire, Med, and PD, and they do
Yeah,
like
they
big
cross over.
crossover stuff all the time.
A Godwinson live news alert. Yeah, Godwinson's been going ham on the Kino Casino, man. I've been watching those streams.
I mean, Netflix's Dahmer, that one definitely
Oh
comes
yeah,
to
Dahmer.
mind. All anything that has a serial killer in it, right?
Yeah. Are true crime podcasts still pretty like women
Yeah,
kryptonite? Yeah.
yeah.
No, House
Um,
is dead, bro. I remember when everyone watched House. My family watched House.
I
I'm
mean,
like, I
this is
didn't like
another good
House.
point too. I mean, even the things people watch online is fractured. We're no longer get ubiquitous memes like the Ice Bucket Challenge or Charlie
Yeah.
Bit My Finger. That's true. Now my
Yeah,
memes are
exactly.
hyper niche, little dark
Charlie
age
Bit My Finger,
hyperborea
man.
edits.
He took that off and made it into an NFT.
Yeah, he
Made millions
did.
of dollars. Yeah. You know what's funny is
now
that
NFTs aren't worth anything.
yeah, exactly. Oh god. You know what's funny is that Stranger Things, I guess. House. I have a whole video on medical dramas on my YouTube channel. You could dig up about like the decline of like how medical dramas are like the most subversive form of propaganda nowadays. But NYPD Blue. I love that bit from Cumtown where the one guy from NYPD Blue, the Irish detective, he's like racist, but then like the call woman is like the sassy black woman, and she's like, "Oh baby, why are you racist?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I trying to change. I try not to be racist." But oh my god, people still watch This Is Us. I watched the first few seasons of This Is Us with my mother. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, my mom watched it. I hate it. This Is Us is like the most bourgeois, like woke tarded show in existence. It's like literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like the TV show Parenthood was the forerunner to that.
Yeah, Parenthood was the forerunner. Young Sheldon, is Young Sheldon still around?
I have no idea. I'm going to assume yeah.
Last podcast on the left fell off.
Oh my god! Here you go.
Whoa.
Medical drama called. Well, this I think it's called.
Oh my god! My mom watched that. Oh, I hate it. Oh, it's the worst. Amsterdam is the worst. The doctor was crying about Dobbs. Really? There's a scene like no. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked
in the slightest.
Yeah.
Just
you
in
have
the
like
same
the
way.
fat bearded gay therapist who's like talking about like transitioning kids. Like it's New Amsterdam's like the absolute worst. I like the guy in Blacklist. He was pretty good in Blacklist. He was what's her name's husband, but they killed him off. No, in New Amsterdam is by far the worst show I've ever seen in my life. It is worse. Even it's like House on steroids, really. Sorry, it's House on HRT. What am I talking about? It's House on HRT.
I mean, even the subversive stuff in House, like you couldn't get away with just because of the jokes.
No, never. No.
Yeah.
Oh, is the World Cup going on? When's FIFA going to begin?
Oh, I mean, the Qatar World. Let's look up real quick before I just go nuts.
The 18th, I think, right?
Oh, it starts on the 20th.
Okay. I'll probably
it starts on the 20th.
If
USA
Neymar
plays Wales.
Oh wow! If Neymar is on the Brazilian team, then I'll probably watch it.
We're all so the USA, Iran, England, Denmark, and Tunisia are all in the same group.
In the same round robin bracket. Wow.
Well, actually, no. Just Group B is USA, Wales, England, Iran. Sorry, I read.
Yeah.
As well.
That's the first round is round robin. Yeah.
It's the Anglos versus the Persians.
Wonder what war that was about.
I know, right? Oh.
Anglo versus Persians. But yeah, New Amsterdam. It's like literally the most subversive show I've ever seen in my life. I can't get over it. How your mother met our bull. Oh god.
You excited for the big game?
Come Ingrid and score some fucking goals. Yeah, the Norps. Like, yeah. By Anglo, you mean black? Will AA support Wales?
That's a question that we should ask. We should ask that to AA.
Wait, he's Welsh too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's why he's got that accent. He doesn't have like an usual British accent, but yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'd imagine that he'll probably support. We'll
I
ask
have
him.
I have to look this up though. New Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, you'll have that'll be something for a Twitter or a Telegram post just because of copyright. But yeah, I saw the clip and it is over
Oh
Dobbs.
my god!
It's so bad.
Can you send me the clip?
I sure can. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Is it the fat therapist crying or who's crying?
No, it's a female doctor crying.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'll send you the link after the show.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. But anyway, here we go. We're near the end. Men then only desire money, and money is an abstraction, a form of reflection. Men do not envy the gifts of others, their skill, or their love of their women. They only envy each other's money. These men would die with nothing to repent of, believing that if only they had money, they might have truly lived and truly achieved something. I don't think this part has aged pretty well. I mean, in the age of, dare I say, the incel, and it's I don't really like using that word, but in an age where like the sexual revolution and its
I envy other
consequences
people's
become,
women.
yeah, I mean, if we I don't want to covet other people's wives or anything. I'm
No.
explicitly told not to, but I think that we are I think people are more envious, I think, of talents and skills than just money,
probably.
because I think that a lot of people these days are still built in with that meritocratic idea. I mean, there's still that class consciousness and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had the skills of other people, I'd probably be doing a lot better. If I had the ability to have better production quality than some of my colleagues, I'd be doing great. But believing that if only they had the money, they might have truly lived or achieved something. I mean, money does play a role into it. I mean, everyone says if I were rich or if I won the Powerball or whatever, which somebody did. So it's not at 1 point something billion, which is unfortunate. But hey, a man can dream.
Yeah.
Every man does this. Every man. I think that's the other thing about the lottery is that even if you don't buy a ticket, which you really shouldn't, because what's the point? But I think everyone has that dream of like, if they had money, if only I had money.
Yeah, everyone has that, especially nowadays.
But I think in our present time, I think that there is still an envy of gifts, an envy of skill, an envy of the love of their women. I don't think
envy of GF. I think.
Yeah. That feel window GF.
That's mine, anyways. But I don't particularly care about money, but I do, but not like everyone cares about money, but not in the same way.
I'm comfortable, but Lord knows I'd like to. I wish I'd be better at other things that I currently am, but I don't think it's just money worship that exists in the present era.
I noticed that tempered off. Like, I think because we know
I mean, everyone still has that like residual, and that's the funny thing about like all of this like fake meat cope, like that advertisement in the UK that made the rounds about saying like, well, our parents had the housing boom, but at least we have vegan bacon that tastes like bacon. Like, what a weird cope, like virtue signaling cope that like, yeah, you don't have the same quality of life as your parents, but you get treats. You get treats.
At least the chuds get the vegan treats. The beyond treats.
beyond women too.
That'll be the state mandated GF.
I'm very proud of my memes with that one. But the established order continues, but our reflection and passionlessness finds its satisfaction in ambiguity. No person wishes to destroy the power of the king, but if little by little it can be reduced to nothing but a fiction, then everyone would cheer the king. No person wishes to pull down the preeminent, but if at the same time preeminence could be demonstrated to be a fiction, then everyone would be happy. No person wishes to abandon Christian terminology, but they can secretly change it so that it doesn't require decision or action.
Oh, that's nowadays, eh?
Oh, that's so nowadays, where it's woke pastors or even like atheists being like, well, Jesus just said to be a good person.
No, it doesn't. Your silly religion doesn't work on me, but it'll work on that.
That meme. Yeah. Whereas I'm pretty sure he was very explicit in taking up his cross and following him. But yeah, if they can secretly change it so it doesn't require decision or action, then it just means be a good person and
turn the other cheek. Turn the cheek. Yeah. We need the 1 billion Americans, or else you're not a real Christian. Yeah.
We need Mad Iglesias nationalism, guys. That's the true Christian nationalism. 1 billion Americans.
God.
I'm surprised I'm not blocked by him yet.
Me
As
neither.
much as I
Yeah.
dunk on him, I know a lot of our mutuals have been blocked by him. I am blocked
Yeah.
by Noah Smith, which makes me terribly upset. He was my favorite
Yeah.
moron to dunk on. Um, and so they are unrepentant since they have not pulled down anything. People do not desire any more than to have a strong king than they do a hero liberator than they do religious authority, for they innocently wish the established order to continue, but in a reflective way, they more or less know that the established order no longer continues. Ooh, I feel
Wow.
like that's kind of applicable here.
People love, like, I think most people, they just love their own enslavement. I think, like, they kind of love their own subjugation. I mean, maybe just because I come from a country of like people that are like this, but people just they love their own misery. I feel like they love their own ability not to well, how should I mean this? They It's not that they like explicitly love it, but they do, they find comfort in it. Like they find comfort living in hell. I feel like a lot of people that are like degenerates or whatever, like they found their own solace in it. They found like this world is perfect for them, because even people that have like grandiose like utopian visions that are frustrated by the present, like they're even of a different caliber. Like even like weirdo communists that like believe in some future like proletarian uprising or whatever, like they're even different than people that are just like normie like shit libs that like live in hell, like that this time period's like the best for them. They just want more of the same. And like really that's their goal and aspiration, is just having a terminal case of like what the world is like nowadays, only like more in your face about it.
Well, that's what I find the
Yeah.
solar punk thing to be so funny because
Yeah.
they can't they want the established order to continue so they can get that,
Yeah.
but they live in that unreality, so they've gotten to a point where any sort of dream or fiction that they want is fundamentally unattainable. That's why I do think that like progressive liberalism of today's age, like that solar punk futurist shit, that is the most chiliastic millenarian kind of like future that just can't
Yeah.
exist. I mean, the end point of all forms of, and it's heresy for a reason, folks. The greatest form of chiliasm is right there in solar punk
Hmm.
abuelita nationalism, where
Abuelita
Chobani rules the
nationalism.
world.
Yeah. AOC is the goddess of cyber of solar punk.
The
Um
new Gaia.
yeah, she's the new Gaia. But at the same time there is like the base like right-wing version of futurism, where it's like, basically like engineering a giga chad cosmic aristocracy to rule over the Dravidians. Like that in a way is also cope, but I think that
Well, in the
vision, like,
same way they project themselves with those like weird class warfare fantasies like Elysium and whatnot.
yeah, yeah.
Although odds are, like, if Elysium were to ever happen, like, let's not kid ourselves, it definitely would be structured that way.
Yeah, we wouldn't be on top, put it that
We
way.
would, yeah, we would be in the dirt, scavenging e-waste, exposing ourselves to toxic cobalt and stuff like that in
Yeah,
order to make a
yeah.
living.
It'll be like Screamers, where you have to like smoke the cigarettes that prevent radiation sickness. Yeah, when the
Yeah.
when a
Well,
radiation wave comes by. Yeah.
oh, maybe if we can go back to an era in the future where smoking's based again, it's fine with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, This reflective tension this creates constitutes itself into a new principle, just as in an age of passion enthusiasm is the unifying principle, so in a passionless age of reflection envy is the negative unifying principle. There must not be understood. This must not be understood as a moral term, but rather the idea of reflection, as it were, is envy. Envy is therefore twofold. It is selfish in the individual and in the society around him. The
Mm.
envy of reflection is the individual in the individual hinders any passionate decision he might take, and if he wishes to free himself from reflection, the reflection of society around him recaptures him.
Yeah, you can never be free of the current thing. Yeah, you being
Yeah,
reflecting on something. But what does he mean here by envy though? Like envy of
reflection envy. So let's go to number 4 down below. Besides envy, etymologically, missenwils means contrariness or spite. This is very similar to Nietzsche's
oh,
resentment.
resentment. Yeah,
Resentment.
okay. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resentment, in other words, over like not being able to reflect or yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Envy, or like their reflection of themselves, is translated into spite over this via negativa principle of how we view the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, we can't escape current thing, and it's like the thing about the point about exit that Nick Land kind of always goes on about, like there is no exit.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
they kind of killed that in
Yeah.
1865 in America, and later they codified it a century later in 1965. So it's just it's an interesting position to be in. It's just that yeah, we're envy. It is selfish of the individual and the society around him. Hinders any passionate decision that he might make. It's like the I'm leaving Twitter. They all do the thumbs
I'm
up
moving to
meme.
Canada. Good. Yeah, we need more of you. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Did any of them move to Canada after Blump?
No.
No,
No.
well, of
No.
course. But they never want to move to Mexico, though. Well, I guess some of them moved to
Well,
Mexico.
some
But
of them moved to Mexico. Now the Mexicans in Mexico City are complaining that like, why are these like little parts of Mexico City speaking nothing but English?
no Mexicans, just vibes. Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, that's their. It's like, oh, gee, an invasion, right?
That was so stupid. That was like when like the early version of like the climate thing, like that one part in was the Day After Tomorrow where it's like the Mexicans have to let us in,
Yeah,
but like for amnesty, like we have to give them amnesty though for like all the
yeah.
illegals. Like remember the whole thing of the climate? That's another thing. The climate refugees. Remember then that was like a big thing. You know.
I mean, John Kerry talked about it, where it was kind of funny, where he was just like, if you think the current situation is bad, wait until there's like a million climate refugees in
The
your planet. It's
climate.
like, thanks for giving the play away.
Yeah, same with Bernie Sanders. He's like the climate refugees are gonna come here. Like it's yeah, it's
Yeah.
very funny.
Uh, Envy constitutes the principle of characterlessness, which from its misery sneaks up until it arrives at some position and protects itself with the concession that it is nothing. The envy of characterlessness never understands that distinction is really a distinction, nor does it understand itself recognizing distinction negatively, but rather it reduces so it is no longer a distinction, and envy defends itself not only from distinction, but against that distinction which is to come. Um, Boy, distinctions. Let's go down to the footnotes here real quick. Um, so that is, it does not understand the exceptional in a positive sense as being better than itself, nor does it understand the exceptional in a negative sense of being worse than itself. Oh, so it's just like perpetually just miserable.
Yeah. Either it's like you're better, like either I'm better than you and you don't deserve it, or you're better than me. So in that case, go fuck yourself, sour grapes. Like, yeah. Many such cases, many people like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and here's where we get to the leveling, though. Envy, which is establishing itself, is a leveling, and while a passionless age pushes forward, establishing new things and destroying others, raising and tearing down, a reflective, passionless age does the opposite. It stifles and hinders, it levels. The leveling is a silent, mathematical, abstract process which avoids upheavals. Leveling at its maximum is like the stillness of death, where one can hear his own heartbeat, a stillness like death into which nothing can penetrate, in which everything sinks powerless.
Wow.
And I mean, this is the thing that I kind of refer back to on about like everything has to be gay, everything has to be, and I'm not just talking about like the identity, I'm just talking about like everything has to be like this saccharine, simulated, hyper real experience of everything, in which we're always envy about what other people put out on social media. We're always
Mhm.
disgusted at ourselves for not doing what they're doing,
We
and
have to
so in
feign
our
moral rage at everything. Yeah.
we have to be performative about the outrage about someone not tipping at a restaurant, or the outrage that maybe some people don't want Black Lives Matter protesters storming down their front door and ruining their picnic or whatever. It's just like everything is done in this mathematical abstract process, i.e. unseen algorithms and things like that matter, to which we are all consuming the same things, to which we are all aware of the monoculture that is coming for us. And we see this most preeminently, I think, in sort of the deterritorialization of other cultures, to where
Mhm.
in, say, global regimes here in the US will try and put it into a way of, well, we must re-territorialize the war in Afghanistan because it's no longer about fighting the Taliban, as Glenn Greenwald leaked all the CIA documents back around
Hmm.
2010, 2011,
Hmm.
about they had decided during the Obama administration it's going to be about women's rights, girls'
Yeah.
education, and later on gay rights. And so
Yeah.
everything has to be like this. Everything has to be democratic, this abstract process through which everything is democratized in a social matter, to where we are always envious all at once of all things and at all places and at all times. And you have to be
No,
gay.
but that's what I mean. Like the revolution, exactly. Like you have to be gay.
The revolution will be live streamed on TikTok, fellas.
Yeah. No, but it's almost like the Revolutionary Act is to say I don't care. Like that is the most that's the most offensive thing to people nowadays. Say you don't care, because then it's like, how can you not care? It's like, yeah, I don't care about this. Because it's like people think that that's an ego thing to say that, and a lot of people do. I should say that a lot of people do use it as like an egoic booster to be like, I don't care. I don't care. It's just culture war nonsense. Like it's, but if you genuinely don't care and you say to people that, yeah, this is just a spectacle and maybe you shouldn't like invest all of your identity in this, then people get really offended at that, because it's like you're ripping a toy away from them. You know what I mean? Like you're telling them that their conscious energy is being wasted on something. And when you tell them that they're just following a mass, that they're following like the they, to quote Heidegger, then it's very disturbing, because at the one end we value extreme individualism and we think that's authenticity. But at the same time, we also schizophrenically value the capacity for people to identify with whatever's going on at the current time. You know what I mean? So it's like you can never win. But then when you
Yeah.
burst people's bubble and say that, well, you're only caring about this because you're being told to care about this. Like, no, I'm not. No, I genuinely deeply care about fucking Coney 2012. Like, yeah, I'm sure you cared about Coney 2012. I'm sure. You know?
I mean, that's like a
Unlike
really
Gamergate.
good.
Gamergate was 100% real, though. Gamergate did determine the course of history. But anyways, go ahead.
But no, that's the point, though. It in a passionless age, right? It stifles, it hinders, it levels. Like
Yeah.
everyone wants to be a part of the thing. Like we're all passionless, and we're in this existential crisis, right?
Yeah.
We're all trying to be a
Did
part
you
of the
care
moment.
about Anita getting harassed? Did you care about Brianna Wu getting harassed? No, I don't. I don't care.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't care about Brianna Wu? No, I don't. You don't care about Anita and Zoe? No, I don't. I don't.
I only care if they lose.
I care about Anita. Does Anita still look good though? I wonder what she looks like.
Oh, Gio, no. Gio, no.
She looked all right. Come on. She looked all right.
Don't be a garbage human being, Gio, no.
I know, I'm being a garbage human being. That was Sargon, like that was his Woodstock. That YouTube, that comic, that
fame, I think,
yeah,
in a lot of
man.
ways.
But anyways, yeah, you finish your point. I cut you off.
Oh, no. It's just like, you made a perfect
with her
point.
busty, lovely, thick Anita.
Oh, God.
Well, let me look at this. Anita Sarkeesian in 2022.
They won, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I think
they won. They just had to wait.
We're in this existentialism, and because we're so passionless, right? Everything feels like you're going through the motions. And I think that you see that more often than not, where people will like check TikTok and like, what's the latest trend? What's the discourse about? And like, it's a performative way of saying I care, but in doing so, you concede your individuality in this desperate attempt to be this hyper unique individual in today's current fake and gay world of saccharine simulation. That, oh well, you're nothing other than just another blob in the mass that tells me that this is the current thing I have to care about. It's just another NPC that's been programmed.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at one of her videos.
Does she still make videos?
She makes like some form of videos.
Oh my.
She still looks all right. I'd give her. I wouldn't kick her.
Hot take. Gio's gonna go on and make a case for.
She's a bit chubbier too. That's
Anita Sarkeesian on Twitter.
Yeah, she's a bit chubbier too. So
oh boy,
it's even better. Some women do look better. Like they look healthier when they got a bit of chub. Like some women don't look particularly good when they're like thin as a rail.
Well, there
Um,
you go.
she was watching that. No, it was something about violence in video games, and she like used this clip from the game Bully. Remember Bully,
Oh
the
yeah,
British one? Yeah, yeah. Not the movie though. Did you ever watch the movie Bully with Nick Stahl?
I did not.
The Larry Clark, Harmony Korine one?
No.
Oh, bro! Oh my God! You got to watch Bully. It's a Kino classic.
Well, then we can review it on the show one of these
Yeah,
days.
that'd be great. We could do Harmony Korine films. Oh
Okay, we
my
could.
God. We could do
Well,
Bully. We could do Kemp Park. We could do Kids. You want to do Kids?
all
Oh,
right.
sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. You
Three
know that. You know
three
that
movies
line.
I've not seen.
Oh my God, bro. You're gonna flip your lid, man. It's yeah, Bully's Kino Geo. How about Zoe Quinn? Zoe Quinn is not my cup of tea. I mean, Zoe Quinn. I know that Anita probably has a lower body count compared to Zoe Quinn, but no, Zoe Quinn doesn't do it for me. Anita does it for me. Lacey Green, are you kidding me? That's a black. Is Lacey Green still exist?
Yeah, she's around. I think she writes nowadays. I don't think she makes
Okay.
videos anymore.
Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
she
there's a
date
super chat
some
about she
quote
dated.
unquote?
Yeah, Chris Ray
Yeah,
Gun.
yeah, for a
Whatever.
while.
What happened? Give me the deep lore. Why did they break up?
I
They
don't know
broke
why
up.
they broke up. I just know that Chris Reagan is like any other run of the mill shit lib these days.
Yeah, he's just a bread tuber now, right? No, he's not.
Yeah,
He's barely a bread tuber. He's like a lib tuber.
he's just a lib tuber. He
Did
just
they
kind
have
of.
their own version of the alt light? But now, like, I guess they got Xander Hall and I don't know.
I'm not. You know who you should be asking about the ecosystem of this would be the
Dave.
distributist.
Yeah,
It's like this is
Dave.
Dave's
I should
territory.
text. I should DM him. No, I should like add him publicly on Twitter. Like, Dave, do they have like their own version of the alt light, like the alt bread?
The alt bread. I love that.
What could you call it?
Bread light.
Bread light. Yeah, there you go. Bread light.
Like,
Yeah,
you
Zoe
know,
Quinn is a Masonic.
does BreadTube have Wonder Bread or white bread?
Yeah, Wonder
like,
Breads. There you go.
I mean, they do have Wonder Breads. They just are trying to erase their Wonder Breadness, right?
Yeah. Oh, we
But
could watch Gummo. Yeah, Gummo has an amazing soundtrack. They have like a lot. Like I didn't know that Harmony Korine was in like obscure. He was in like obscure black metal bands like Bethlehem. I believe Emperor is also in Gummo. Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, I mean, my favorite meme I've ever made is like the meme about like women picking out colors, and he's just like the man on the other side is like that's blue, and there was one where it's like a dude talking about all these bread tubers, and then I just
Yeah.
on the other side it's like the distributist, and it's just like I'm gonna talk about this shit for years. And
Man.
I just think that there's a lot of truth to that, and I'm thankful he does because it's an ecosystem I don't have to
Yeah.
be aware of. But it's
All the skeptics went back to being reformed shitlibs. Yeah, that's true. They all went back to being Steve Shives.
That's true. I mean, Settler's Lament, another Canadian YouTuber, he did a whole video about like so all these like skeptics either became like reformed shitlibs or communists. Like there was really no either or.
Yeah. Man, Cedo is making everyone fat by showing their metabolism down to hibernation levels.
Oh Lord.
Armored Skeptic is still on YouTube. The worst off was Jeff. Don't even mention Jeff Holiday. We all know what happened to him, right? Did he get convicted or no? Or he went on Dr. Phil, remember?
I think he went on Dr. Phil.
Was it just a rumor because he had that one tattoo?
I don't know.
But he was defending cheese pizza type of stuff, though. I think.
Yeah, you can't really.
I think he was. Yeah,
that's a little beyond the pale, even for some shit libs. But, then again, there's Vosh, so who knows?
Wow. Ever remember Undoomed? I remember Undoomed, but Undoomed was like sort of like, okay, listen, don't even mention TJ Kirk in front of my presence, okay? Like, please. This is an ancestral hatred of Amazing. Yeah, exactly. I've hated this guy since 2005. 2007.
I'm not gonna lie though, I did enjoy seeing the thumbnail of his rant about the Dobbs decision where he was literally dressed up like a demon.
He was?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's pretty nuts.
Get Bearing on Content Minded. Bearing and his wife, Sugar Tits.
Here we go. One person can head. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, someone mentioned Is Onision in prison? He should be. But
Isn't
you know
he?
what's
Isn't he
funny though? They
writing his
made a
shit
cringe
books?
though going after Onision. Not to like say what he did was good, but like all the spectacle for like a few months there was just stupid. Like, you know what's funny? I actually
Oh, the
saw
Chris
Shiloh and
Hansen thing and all that stuff
yeah,
too.
yeah. I actually saw Shiloh in concert once. It was a free concert. Um, I went to this thing called Friendship Festival where I saw Theory of a Dead Man, and I think she was opening for them. So yeah.
Nice.
Um, but anyways, yeah, what are we doing talking about the thing
We're
skeptics?
we're reminiscing, I
Lacy
guess.
Green. Yeah.
Um, but anyways,
God, I
one
hated Lacy
person
Green,
can head a
man.
rebellion, but one
Uh,
person cannot head this leveling process. For that would make him a leader, and he would avoid being leveled. Each individual can, in his little circle, participate in this leveling, but it is an abstract process, and the leveling is abstraction conquering individuality. The leveling in
yeah,
modern
shark wombing.
times, yeah,
Yeah.
well, that and living in our own pseudo realities, our own little
Yeah.
bubbles. You know,
Oh,
again,
by
Whitman.
the way, I don't know if this is true.
Uh huh.
I have to get this off my chest. I don't know if I even should mention it, but is it true those photos where people claimed that this girl that was like injecting a certain drug into her veins that it was Lacey Green that
I
or was
don't
that not
know.
true?
I don't
Or it was
know.
just some woman that was doing H that kind of looked like Lacey Green.
I,
Um
I I don't know,
There
and
was this big thing on
I'd
Encyclopedia
rather not
Dramatica.
speculate.
Yeah, I better not speculate. It's just this is dark lore right here. But some people claim that
God,
there's photos of Lacey
Encyclopedia
Green
Dramatica. That
doing
feels so
drugs.
old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's
Okay,
finish
let's
this
move on.
puppy and get out of here.
Yeah.
The leveling in modern times is a reflective of a equivalent of fate in ancient times. The dialectic of ancient times tended towards leadership, the great man over the masses and the free man over the slave. The dialectic of Christianity, at least until now, towards representation. The majority views itself in the representative and is liberated in the knowledge that it is represented in that representative, in a kind of self-knowledge. The dialectic of the present age tends towards equality, and the most consequent but false result is leveling as the negative unity of the negative relationship between individuals. So that we are not, each unique individuals within sort of the cloud of, the cloud of witnesses, but nowadays we are all equally unified about what we are not. We are not unique individuals. We are part of a community. We are part of a group. We are part of, whatever fake and gay current thing is part of
Yeah.
nowadays. And I mean, that's kind of what happens when you can sort of rationalists and their consequences, I think, to a large degree, where if you can rationalize yourself being towards that, oh, it's better to be a part of the safety of, say, something that is just inherently dysgenic and going to hurt you in the long run, whether it's a social movement or a social technique, then I mean, that's where you are now. Is that our relationship between individuals is, well, my relationship, I think, of other people. I mean, even today, right? Like, how do we
Mhm.
distance ourselves from liberals or our ideological opposition? Well, it's via negativa. I am because I am not. And I think that that's sort of an interesting thing. Is just that, like, oh well, what makes up the dissident right? And I think this has been a definitional debate that happens a lot of times, that even the distributist tried to cover in his video to be right wing in 9 points, because
Mm.
he's like, well, one person says this, and I think he cited Academic Agent from a few years ago saying like, well, I'm just whatever the progressives aren't, I'm anti-progressive.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so in this means like we have this weird relationship with other right wingers or other individuals that aren't leftists that we would probably disagree with, but our unity, right, is this little collective is done through
Yeah.
negative relationships between other ideological
But
opposites and
even to ourselves though, like like the whole East-Lebs going to war with each other. Like it's you know what I mean? Like it seems every day there's a new thing that again, this is just the shark wombing process, but I feel like we can only reflect ourselves in each other in a weird way. Do you remember when I read that quote from House of how should I say, the Anais Nin book, House of You Know What?
yeah.
Um, where about like I can only find like can we free ourselves of this house of in you know what? Um, can I say the term on YouTube? In
uh
I don't know.
Play it safe.
Zest. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, you can get away with that.
maybe incest, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, can I free myself of the house of incest because we can only experience emotions within ourselves through the other. So it's this weird like reciprocal relationship within a very tight community where you can only experience one's thoughts and emotions through the other, and they in turn reflect it upon you as well. Um, so it's like that weird relationship there that is a very deep emotional codependence that is so deep that it's unconscious in a way. And that to cross over into the other side, to break from that relationship is almost becoming an impossibility. So,
Yeah.
yeah. By the way, who's in the chat? Visigoth. Yeah, I do like Quixar. He is a great YouTuber. I like Tales from the Bottle because I like his humor, the way that he edits those little figures to be like, that like sense of humor where it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's something about it. I like Tales from the Bottle. It's really great. But anyways, yeah, moving on.
Here we
Dave had
go.
his house vandalized numerous times. Nails broke. Really?
Which
Which Dave
our
are you
Dave?
talking about? Our
Yeah,
Dave?
which Dave?
Weird. Matthew Barry. What are you talking about?
I really hope it's not our Dave. I mean, I hope it's
Did
not
Dave
anybody.
get doxxed though, or no?
I mean, he had that terrible drama a few years
Yeah,
back.
yeah, I
But,
know
I
that,
mean,
but like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I didn't
Oh,
know
Dave
about that.
Cullen.
Dave Cullen.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I could
in
imagine.
Ireland.
Yeah, in
Yeah. Oh,
Ireland,
they'll
I can
for sure.
imagine.
They've gone after him at
Funny
all the
how they
time.
haven't gone after Keith Woods though. That's you'd figure that'd be a bigger like in terms of his politics compared to Dave Cullen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
computing
mean,
forever, feisty. Yeah,
computing forever, Dave
fishy.
Cullen. I mean, he's been the guy that has been like really the I don't want to say dissident right, but I mean, he's really been the front of this anti-COVID,
Yeah, yeah.
anti-agenda 2030 stuff in Ireland. Yeah, he's
Well, he got his
definitely
YouTube
been.
channel pulled.
Yeah, it got
Yeah,
pulled. It's funny because he still has his the Dave Cullen show channel where he covers like
yeah,
science fiction and stuff.
yeah. I
But
thought.
yeah,
Oh man, I thought that like our Dave got harassed. I mean, that'd be terrible.
I mean, it's even
No,
more
it is
terrifying
terrible.
because it's
Dave,
Ireland.
well, because they have laws that can fuck with you in Ireland. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's
look
not
at
like
Millennial
here in
Woes.
America where you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
Like we have shit libs and reply guys here in America and Canada. Like you have your own one Geo that you've got blocked. You're Antifa idiot. But like up there, they can't. You can't defend
He
yourself in
thinks
the
I
same
don't know
way.
who he is. I know who he is, but it's funny though. He thinks he's like, I know who he is.
Yeah. But Dave
But
still uploads. I mean, I follow him on Telegram. I still
I think
follow
it's
him on
funny
Odyssey
if he
and
ever
stuff.
confronted me, I'd probably have a conversation with him. I wouldn't care. But no, but in Canada, yeah, we're kind of that. We're just almost as bad, but not as bad as like Ireland or the like anywhere in the UK. Like, I mean, look what happened to Woes, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they like, and the fact that like a journalist was like complicit in it too. That's
Oh, that's the
despicable.
thing you know, America's got it, and America and Canada have it bad, but like our laws have a little more protection, and like I can sue someone like Mike Stuckberry in America if I wanted to.
Yeah,
But I can't. Like how it works in the UK with libel and stuff. It's just he wouldn't have a chance.
Mike Stuckbear. What a pathetic. I haven't heard that name in years. Like, what a
Oh,
pathetic
but
creature.
he was
He went
making all
after
sorts of
Woes
shit though.
recently. He, like,
Yeah, because he went
because
to
someone
the
made a
Nomos
fake
event.
telegram about Woes, or what happened?
Yeah. They took some edited screenshots allegedly of his telegram, which I mean, it's not him at all, and even Woes had the receipts to prove it, and a
Yeah,
lot of other people did. But yeah, I mean, uh, we have people like Brooklyn Dad and Ron Filipkowski. We don't have like Mike Stuckberry.
yeah, yeah.
We have it a little bit better than the guys in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, like who's the worst, Brooklyn Dad or Ron? I think Brooklyn Dad is hilarious, but that Ron Filipinski guy, what's his name? I hate that guy, man. I can't stand him. Like he's worse, man. But like Brooklyn
I can
Dad is
appreciate
unintentionally
Brooklyn
funny.
Dad just because I
He's
know he's a paid
unintentionally
shill.
hilarious. you know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Prude. Yeah.
Oh, I just said I find him hilarious because I know he's a paid shill, and all the
Yeah.
receipts got leaked,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, oh, you're doing your job. I can kind of just laugh at it.
Yeah, Godwinson did a video just like a Godwinson. Oh, that Godwinson video. Yeah, that was a good one. Godwinson really hates Millennial Woes, by the way. Maybe because he's British and Millennial O's
And
is
that's
Scottish.
the other thing too, right? Is that you have to constantly keep up with everyone's
Yeah. Well,
beef.
AA is never mind. Never mind.
Oh, it's drama stuff. That's the thing
Yeah.
that I'm referring to. It's like I have to constantly
Yeah.
be kept up with what on earth is going on. 70% of the votes counted in, by the way. Blake Masters is
Oh
behind by
yeah.
100,000 votes.
Ah, fuck. I
Well,
knew that
yeah,
was not gonna happen.
yeah, sad day
But
in
yeah,
Arizona. It's only 70%, but who knows?
yeah.
Um, but we'll finish up here. We're on the last page before the footnotes. Everyone should see now that leveling has a fundamental meaning. The category of generation supersedes the category of the individual. During ancient times, the mass of individuals had this value that it made it valuable. That it made valuable the outstanding individual. In ancient times, the single individual and the masses signified nothing. The outstanding individual signified them all. In the present age, the tendency towards a mathematical equality. In order for the leveling to really occur, first it is necessary to bring a phantom into existence, a spirit of leveling, a huge abstraction, an all-embracing something that is nothing, an illusion, a phantom of the public. The public is the real leveling master, rather than the leveler itself, for leveling is done by something, and the public is a huge nothing. Oh,
Yeah, he's
yeah. I mean,
essentially describing the they by Heidegger.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the category of generation supersedes the category of the individual. I mean, millennials,
Yeah.
Zoomers. I mean, individual
You are
great
the
men or
they.
artists. You
Like
are the
what
they.
were we
Exactly.
saying? Like Zoomers have a job to do. Like Zoomers have a job to do. Like
Yeah.
every Zoomer has a
Generation
job to
supersedes
vote
the category.
Democrat. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. What happened to guy from Boston? Guy from Joe Ligotti, I think he's still around. He had a radio show, Joe Ligotti. But I wish he still did the guy from Boston. He's like one of my favorite deep early YouTube figures. When you had like on YouTube, just like fat guys beefing with each other, like for no reason at all. Like you had him, kid from Brooklyn, Brooklyn guy, who else? Like you had a bunch of these guys that just like beefed with each other for no reason. But guy from Boston's a classic, man. Yeah. Anyways, no, but about this quote, yeah, it is like it's funny how he even predicted that the generations will precede each other in terms of like identity being cemented as a block, a generational block, rather than you as a person or your interest or whatever. It's like the public, which is filled with unreal individuals who are never, yeah, exactly, who are never united, nor can they ever unite simultaneously in a single situation or organization, yet still stick together as a whole. Exactly. We're just a bunch of broken individuals that are somehow
Atomized into these,
yeah.
positions.
Oh, apparently Yoel Roth is leaving Twitter, so there you go.
Oh,
That's a victory.
That's a W, folks.
That's a W. But the thing is that it is weird how we do have this schizophrenic relationship to the whole. The time that we are just as much more so because of the nature of, the way that information is flowed down to most people and the way that we have structured ourselves based off of collective knowing about things rather than collective experience, or even the way that we experience things is mediated by the way that people talk about things. As we are captured within the greater they identity more than ever, we like to believe that we're not, because the things that we're using every single day gives us this illusion that we can escape, or we can, dwell within our own reality tunnel. So it's almost as if the they has more power over us than ever. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we have this delusion that it doesn't, which is really quite fascinating. Because
Well, speaking of the public,
yeah,
he breaks it down here. The public is an idea which would never have occurred to people in ancient times, for the people themselves
nope,
in mass and corpora took steps in any active situation and bore responsibility for each individual among them, and each individual had to personally, without fail, present himself and submit his decision immediately for approval or disapproval. When first a clever society makes concrete reality into nothing, then the media creates an abstraction, the public, which is filled with unreal individuals who are never united, nor can they ever unite simultaneously, in a single organization. They stick together as a whole. The public is a body more numerous than the people which compose it, but this body can never be shown, and indeed, It can never have only a single representation because it is an abstraction. Yet this public becomes larger the more times becomes passionless and reflective and destroy concrete reality. The public soon embraces everything. You
An
have to care about
abstract,
everything all at once.
an abstract desert and emptiness, which is everything and nothing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Baudrillard said something similar. Like, it is everything and nothing, because can you produce a single public body or this uniting force? No, because in more societies that have come before us, they don't have the same notion of a manufactured public, which comes from, not to get all, again, thinker of ironies on here, but it is true. It does come from bodies of knowledge that come from the 18th, 19th, 20th century that were gathered together in these PR groups and these experts and the managerial class that the media is largely an extension of, creating this notion of a public body or a mass public that must be propagandized to and so forth. Whereas, more traditional societies or societies that come before us, they have a distinct notion of what they are, what their ethnos, their religion, their identity is. Whereas we have largely ablated these things towards the private realm. And when you do that, what then becomes the public realm? The public realm becomes this sort of manufactured entity that comes about from governments and managerial experts and, yes, intelligence agencies as well. So the notion of the public is this very polymorphic thing that you can't really put into a single unifying thing. It's really what Foucault called the heterotopia.
Yep.
The sort of non-place where every different class and human distinction and category of peoples interact with each other. The heterotopia, like a graveyard, is a good example. Rich person buried next to poor person. Well, not really. I mean, rich people have their own grave plot, but theoretically,
the rich person gets the mausoleum versus
but the Protestant and the Catholic is buried in the same cemetery, unless you're in Ireland. But they don't do that anymore in Ireland. It's a shame. They destroyed that. Yeah. I know that people had this Reddit wholesome chungus thing where the Catholic wife and the Protestant husband, they're buried in the separate cemetery, but they're on the border, and both of their headstones are reaching out to each other. Did you ever see that post?
Yeah, I know that picture.
Yeah, it's so stupid. First of all, why are you marrying a Protestant? But anyways, no, I know it's terrible. But the point being is that all these other things are relegated to the private realm, so therefore the public realm has to be manufactured. And it has to be manufactured along these civic lines that don't really have a solid reality compared to these other things. So, and let's face it, it's a fiction nowadays. And God bless the internet for giving us the ability to determine that this whole unified public consensus thing is a fiction. It's nowadays the conversation in my country is that, should we go back to mask mandates? Because some people are demanding it. And we're using this incredibly small nanos poll.
Who are the people? Point to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally 1,000 people that, did a nanos poll from Toronto. They're yeah, we should bring them back. It's no, the vast majority of people probably, it's stupid. It's the whole consensus thinking around, especially public health measures of the last 2 years. It's the public demands this. It's what do they demand? What is this public? Where is the body? What's that judicial term? Where is the body? Is it mens res or
something like
that legal term? Yeah, the one. It's where is the body? Where is the public body? It's so Kierkegaard is really good in this. It's where's the body?
Well, I mean, and again, it's that modern post-enlightenment concept, because it's in ancient times, right? Even before the digression,
mixed faith marriage, just Matthew Barry.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it's that bit that you see this in early saints of the church, where leaders would ask, well, where is the gold and where's the wealth that you had promised? And they would point to all of the poor and needy people that they took care of, and it's behold, the treasure of your town or your city. And it's just nowadays it's it's a bunch of bots. The public is an abstraction of bots and paid actors and crisis tweeters. You can't point to it and say, well, where is the
or
whole?
Activists? Yeah. Activists like Olivia Juliana, fat Zoomers, fat racially
point to my public, and it's a bunch of fat Zoomers.
It's that Pride March. Like this is the I think you tweeted that where it's like this is who's going to determine whether you go into the camps. And it's like that Twitter employee march or like
Yeah,
yeah.
that's gonna send you. That's just who
Yeah.
sends you to the gulag.
I miss Visigoth. I miss Vertigo Politics. What happened to Vertigo Politics?
I
I
don't
remember
know.
Vertigo Politics.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
pretty good stuff.
He's got there. I don't know where he went, but all of his videos are on an archive channel on YouTube.
I think he said someone was trying to dox him. That's why he
it stopped because his stuff is really good.
Yeah, that's why Braving Ruin stopped.
I mean, if he stopped because of a dox threat, I understand. But like, someone has an archive of his channel vids.
I remember he blew up because Millennial Woes shouted him out back when Woes still had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That should we announce
really
though?
Video on
speaking of Millennial Woes,
I did earlier, so I don't see why not.
Okay, yeah, both me and Prue we're gonna be on Millennial, so there you go.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we'll be on.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
But no, Vertigo, the one about California, right? That was
the one about California, but I also really like his history of lynching video. It's just me.
Yeah, that was a good one. You know what's funny? Because who has this comment here about lynching? Let's see, who is it? I remember noticing smaller skeptic channels. Yeah, so Jezial, the great act of democracy is lynching. The will of the public, and we don't mean just like in America, we mean collective violence in general, not just like
collective
the
violence
racialized lynching in America and South. Yeah, the great act of democracy is lynching. The will of the public is being manifested collective violence against enemies. What do you think normie sadism is? Think about that.
Well, it's like what Second City's bureaucrat tweeted out, that like the de facto form of American American criminal justice is de facto sexual assault.
About like gloating over criminals going away.
Yeah, gloating over criminals getting sexually assaulted in prison.
The original normie sadism thread on Sallow forums actually mentioned that like you wishing like prisoners to get sexually assaulted. But like, for example, I said like the anti-Russia thing is normie sadism, but normie sadism is weaponized. In Canada, we had our own normie sadism around the lockdowns and people that didn't want to, go along with it. But yeah, so the great David lynching, can you imagine that?
That's
the great David lynching. Yeah. The throbbing God Rod himself, Millennial. Millennial Woes, like, I mean, Godwinson like really hates Millennial Woes, but the whole thing with him and PPP is kind of sad, actually.
It's just this is the thing, both by one being kind of new to the scene still, but two, just like I try my best to be diplomatic, and it's like all of a sudden it's like I have to keep track of everybody who hates everybody. It's like fuck.
The thing about Woes though, I think like he's a man that knows he's made mistakes in the past, and I think like I see a lot of myself. I can see a lot of myself in Woes, but I mean, but say no more. I mean, I'm very happy that I get to talk to him because it's a long time coming. Actually, I should have reached out to him sooner. Actually, I think it make Kino content. Normie sadism is what was the bestseller about BDS. Well, it is. I mean, because the people that are engaged in it don't like really consciously think about the targets that they're going after because they've been told to hate. Like, okay, I understand like the cheese pizza example that the original Sallow forums thread used is kind of like stupid, but that deserves normie sadism. But normie sadism has become thoroughly politicized. You know what I mean? Like,
that's for sure.
Yeah. Did you post your no? Listen, PPP did not post his member. Okay, he spread his cheeks online. That's what he did. You're getting confused here.
Oh no,
I've never spread my cheeks. I mean, people compare me to PPP a lot, but I mean, the comparisons are obvious. Normie equals anyone that gives you the florets. Yeah. Democracy's a lamb and 3 lions voting on what's for dinner. You mean I don't know about
We're
that.
almost done here.
Yeah, we're
We'll
almost
finish
done.
this
Yeah,
one.
let's go. Yeah.
The public is not a people. It is not a generation. It is not a simultaneity. It is not a community. It is not a society. It is not an association. It is not those particular men over there, because all of these exist because they are concrete and real. However, no single individual who belongs to the public has any real commitment. Sometimes during the day, he belongs to the public, namely in those times in which he is nothing. In those times, he is a particular person. He does not belong to the public, consisting of such individuals who, as individuals, are nothing. The public becomes a huge something, a nothing, an abstract desert and emptiness in which everything is nothing. The media is an abstraction because a newspaper is not concrete, only in the abstract sense that it can be considered an individual, in which association with the abstract or with the passionlessness and reflection of the times creates that abstract phantom, the public, which is the actual leveler. The more and more individuals will become, because of their indolent bloodlessness, aspire to become nothing in order to become the public, this abstract whole which forms in this ridiculous manner. The public comes into existence because all of its participants become third parties, this lazy mass which understands nothing and does nothing, this public gallery that seeks some distraction and soon gives itself over to the idea that everything which someone does or achieves has been done to provide the public something to gossip about. The public has a dog for its amusement. That dog is the media. If there is someone better than the public, someone who distinguishes himself, the public eats the dog and sets him on all of the amusement, and all the amusement begins. This biting dog tears up his coattails, takes all sorts of vulgar liberties with his leg until the public bores of it all and calls the dog off. That is how the public levels. And I immediately think of Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This lazy man, which or hers, this individual, because of their indolent bloodlessness, aspires to become nothing in order to become the public, this abstract whole which forms in its ridiculous manner, because all participants becoming third parties for the media's enjoyment. And I just think to myself, people who will just not do anything, right? Like Dylan Mulvaney just making a mockery of femininities in a skin suit while still having a dick in his legs. Like, and getting to interview the president.
Oh, is that the one that's the president? Oh, that one. Yeah. Does she still go by Dylan?
No, but I'm going to,
I
will dead name someone that treats femininity and what it means to be a woman and somehow engage the.
Did Joe even know? Did Brandon even know what he was doing? Like, where Dylan's like, I've been a woman for 6 months. God bless you.
Yeah,
like,
I know. He looked like
tragic.
He had that pain on his face. He's just like, and God bless you for it.
God bless.
Like he was grimacing as he said it. Although I don't know how much of his brain was actually there. Back in my day, a man could go to college without getting his dick cut off in order to fit in.
I love when you did that. He's like, I'd have to dilate the rest of my life.
Back in my day, this country didn't need tactical dilators from my tax dollars.
Oh man, I love Old Man Prude. That's the best one.
Back in my day, a man didn't need to know what a TikTok was to get his dick hard. Just like, what are we?
Roshi on TikTok.
Back in my day, I didn't need to know what a pussy was to know I was gay. But yeah,
remember the legendary Tommy Sotomayor space? 10,000 live viewers to talk about. They're calling the assholes pussy.
Oh my god! Oh, what a time!
You know what's funny? The best part about that was that right after we got Tommy Sotomayor on Break the Rules, and he totally fucked over Lev. He started arguing about him, about those people, and he took the clip, but he blocked off our fucking logo on his YouTube channel to deny us the views.
That fucker.
Oh, that was great.
What a good time.
But yeah, so about the public, about the spectator, of course, Hannah Arendt talks about the role of the spectator throughout history and how the spectator is at one time subjugated by the dominant force or narrative or the epoch, but at the same time, the spectator, the dream of the spectator is to through the mere act of observing and being witness to, can change historical arrangements, which is sort of I don't know, maybe the internet will prove that to be true, but who knows?
Wow.
Yeah, Tariq Nishid entered the chat.
He's probably one of my most entertaining Twitter personalities to follow.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I wish he'd come out, but I think that's just part of the spectacle, is that we all kind of know that he's a clone.
And they gave him some pills, and then his pussy popped. Like, remember he was singing about that one politician or whatever, the black guy.
Andrew Gilliam, the guy that was running for governor, and then they found him passed out.
Yeah, with a gay
on drugs with another man.
Yeah, with a gay sex worker.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
That was my favorite part from when Alex Lifeson was on Trailer Park Boys, where like Ricky, he's like, it's okay, I'm a cop, this guy's a gay prostitute, he's soliciting me for sex, and Bubbles is like, oh yeah, Ricky, when he gets in trouble, that's what he says, like, oh, this guy's a gay prostitute, he started soliciting me.
Oh my gosh.
Call Alex Lifeson a gay prostitute. Did you see that episode, Prude? I know Rush is your favorite band. Did you ever see that episode?
I didn't.
Oh my God, you didn't know that Alex Lifeson was on Trailer Park Boys?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, you're missing out. Oh, I watched that when that first came out back in the day.
I'll have to give it a watch.
On Showtime. It was right before Kink. Remember that show? For all Leafs, do you remember that show Kink? Maybe I should do a review of that show if I could find the old episodes.
There you go.
Yeah, drunk male prostitute. Yeah, Cody Browning, drunk male prostitute.
Oh my.
But then in the end, like, it was cool. Like, he taught Bubbles that song "Closer to the Heart." You know that song?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I know the Rush song.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Trailer Park Boys is surprisingly true to life. I didn't watch the last season before Lacey before Leahy died, John Dunsworth. But yeah.
Well,
anyways,
on to the supers.
I found Pastor Manning back in 2014.
Fishy Frenzy for 2 pounds asks, how much weight has Gio lost this year?
Since I started fasting back a few months ago, I lost about like 44 to 50 pounds. So there you go. Just by fasting. I mean, I've started weightlifting too, but yeah. About 50 pounds. Let's call it that.
I was about to say, I mean, you look a lot better than the first time I saw you on Follow the Rules.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Clearly, there's a huge fucking improvement.
Oh, yeah.
So keep at it, man.
Like, but I'll be honest with you. Me and PPP weigh about the same. So there you go.
Well, you're on the right track, though. That's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to do the punt the gun challenge, but he was doing it. He lost a bit of weight, but I don't know. Just I can't knock him. I am a fan of PPP. I mean, I'm not a big fan of any Worski, but. I've been watching PPP for a long time, so yeah. Maybe one day we'll talk, but yeah.
All right. Cringe Walker for $10 US says,
$10. Speaking of PPP, $10.
Although they have people that just randomly drop like huge ass, like something $1,000.
Yeah, Signal Boot, Medicare Masochist.
But he says, I had fun going up to conservatives and with a Palpatine voice saying, oh, I'm afraid the Democrat shield will be quite operational when your friend's ballots arrive this evening on conservative.
Man.
Everyone was doing those OJ Simpson, memes about like my vote, democracy.
Going to vote for 10 democracy, yeah.
And more like 3 a.m. ballot dumps versus my vote.
Oh, man.
That's straight ticket Republican.
Well, I don't know how much we can say on YouTube, but I mean, yeah, things look pretty sus in Arizona.
It's been Maricopa County.
It's been fortified.
Also a person running for office who's the Secretary of State. Just
wait, who's the Secretary of State?
Katie Hobbs.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. America's doomed.
Oh, of course. Cringe Walker for $5 US says Zephyr in Montana, Rosener in New England. Interesting last names for that glass ceiling to be broken with. I'll let you notice for yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
I love that part where Bap's like, that McCoy, he looks like a Yellowstone. You like that show? You like that show? Here you go. You're gonna get your Yellowstone guy. What happened in Montana is an absolute tragedy, by the way. Like it's just that poll, like
Montana also has Don Tester, that sort of like conservative Democrat. Like there is like a left, there is a left base there. It's not as
because of the ranching thing, right? The union,
Yeah, that, and in the same way that like a lot of rich celebrities buy out land for ranch
Oh yeah, that's
in
right.
old Wyoming. I mean, like Kanye had
Yeah.
land there. I don't know if he's kept it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the next super chat.
I know he was trying to get James Turrell to buy land to do an art project there, but
There we go.
R.I.P. Andy Jr. That's right, Louis Cachet. R.I.P. Andy Jr. Can't believe it.
Corbin for $10 US. Do people think the UK and Canada are further gone? Oh, do people think that the UK and Canada are further gone than the US? Do they have a higher percentage of whites?
You have to look at it in terms of agency. Canada, that won't be true, I believe, in the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe, but in terms of agency, that the particular demographic we're talking about in America probably has a better shot in terms of like real political power and in terms of the discourse than white people in Canada and Britain, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, Britain is up in the air because essentially all of London, I believe London's only like 40% white now. But the rest of Britain is solid majority Anglo. So, but the problem is they're all disenfranchised because of the city state of London. Imagine like, the way that is in Ontario with Toronto. Imagine like a whole country is like that. London determines the fate of all of the UK.
And I can be way
yeah,
more racist in America than I
yeah,
can be in,
yeah,
speech laws, agency. The legal system is way different. And that's the thing that you have to consider.
yeah,
There is still a modicum of exit and freedom of association here,
yeah.
although it's slowly dying.
Yeah, Britain's even worse than Canada, put it that way. So,
so it's pretty rough.
But in terms of the infrastructure of the political right, like you can change discourse in America on the political right and utilize utilize the infrastructure that the conservative people have than in Britain and America. There will never be like, there will never ever be like, bloke little Englander, like dare I say, like, Britain for the British style politics that will have mainstream approval ever. It's much easier to have like
I mean, look at how they
Republicans that are
reacted
kind of based. Yeah.
when Bowden managed to get the BNP like 2 seats.
Yeah.
Like, look at the visceral.
Yeah.
I mean, and now, like, if you're,
I didn't want to mention the BNP, but like, the BNP won't have like, it'll never have any.
That'll never happen again.
No,
like UKIP was the closest thing you got to it, and it was even more watered down from that.
You can put it this way: there's a much likelier chance to have Republican like politicians that are more aligned with the frogs than there ever could be in Canada, or especially Britain. Like, I mean, I'm sure some staffer whereabouts, like maybe like somewhere in Canada is probably a frog, but like, no, it's not. It's not gonna. Oh, there's an interesting one from Ian Silvo. So
but we'll
get to that. We'll get to
that. Peter Young, the second for $5, says, if you read Father John Strickland's Age of Utopia, it talks a lot about secular motivation, burnout, and European history from Petrarch to Lenin.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I should look it up.
I know he's read a few other books, or written a few other books about sort of. Is this the one that my friend was showing me? Hold on, Age of Utopia. I'm just googling it right now. Age of Utopia, John Strickland. Because I was just.
I heard about this book recently, actually. Like someone brought it up to me.
No, okay. Because he's written another one. Because he wrote The Age of Paradise. That's the one I was thinking about. But yeah, no, these are all from Ancient Faith Press. So I should probably give them a read. Because John Strickland's, I believe,
he's
an Orthodox priest. But I haven't read it. Would love to.
It's a 400 pager, but it's it's only $22. I should buy it.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'll support.
I like the photo, the American soldier that went to, that's like standing in front of the icons.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where that was from. That photo.
I don't.
It's a famous photo though. It's like an American GI standing in front of a mural, a fresco. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the. It's just it just kind of shows the youth of my country, like in World War One. Like in World War One, there was the famous phrase, Lafayette, I have returned, just as the age-old American promise that we would support France in the same ways and causes for freedom that we had done. And happens in World War One. I mean, we only ended a monstrous European war and conflict that set Europe
Yeah.
on its downturn. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be some guy from Hicksville, Tennessee, circa 1944, and you're standing in front of like great
From
works of art.
Bucksnort, yeah, Tennessee, yeah.
Just couldn't imagine. I still can't. And I lived in places like that. I mean, I as a
Yeah.
kid, I went to right next to the great cathedral in Cologne, Germany. There's a museum of the Roman settlement that was stood on that ground hundreds of
Whoa.
years ago. Over 1,000, almost around the time of Christ. And it's just like, and even before Christ. And it's just like, that's an incomprehensible thing to think about as an American, how old things are in other
Yeah.
parts of the world, when you can be happy if you see like, oh, this little town was founded in like 1876 and this was the guy that founded it. Here's the little church that they built around. Like, no, like you go to these places and it's like, oh yeah, no, like people have been fighting and dying over this like stretch of land for like
For
3,000
years. Yeah. Yeah. 3,000 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
just throughout all of like European history and civilization that we have recorded or have from oral history,
Yeah.
Spasticus autisticus for £5 discards to be like, whoa, what if it's Bong? What if I'm real? It's Bong. 20 years of thinking and I found the truth.
Well, he was thinking he liked to write in a boiler with his nightgown on. Did you know that about Descartes?
I did not.
Yeah, that's where he thought a lot. Like it was like a walk-in boiler thing that he liked to think in. Yeah.
Fishy Frenzy for £2. Have you heard of Warhammer Americans? If this is like a new term to describe a certain phenotype, no, I'm not familiar with it.
Warhammer Americans?
Is this what we're talking? Is this our Fetterman joke that he's like an orc or whatever?
Oh yeah, an orc. Then why isn't he fighting for the Z line now if he's an orc?
Yeah. What does he believe in? All these things are powered by belief. Why not make it happen?
He probably does support Ukraine funding though, right?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter about his
mental. Wait, is Fetterman a senator or a congressman?
He's a senator-elect.
Senator-elect, yeah.
Yeah, so he will be voting on some of the most consequential.
God. Because in Canada the Senate doesn't matter, but it's like legacy appointees.
The Senate has enumerated powers, as does the House of Representatives. So, I mean, it's a little different.
Oh, yeah, way different, actually. Because, here they're appointed, the senators, but they're, like, just a legacy job. But they don't have as much power as in America.
Speaking of power and your decision-making, Spasticus autisticus, £2. Geo, Lacey Green, yes or no?
That's a hard question. Because, I'll tell you why. Because Lacey Green has a rotten soul and is a fedora tipper, but she is cute, so in an girl way. So I don't know. I mean, could I tratify and red pill her? Maybe. I'd have to try. So, but in terms of her looks, then yeah, she's pretty cute. So yes. But I mean, she's Chris Ray Gun's leftovers, so I don't know.
Cringe Walker for $5 US says, listen carefully, Nietzsche said, by digging the grave he dug for God, you can hear the diggers burying progress here too. Paraphrasing John Greer.
Nice. The Bappians will be the real Nietzscheans. So there you go.
You can find people who've read my book.
You'd find people who did my book,
Yeah, you don't have to do it online nowadays. You just tell by who's got their books on their bookshelves.
Exactly. There's probably politicians who have read Bath.
Well, even Blake Masters got in trouble for just reading Sam Francis.
Yeah, there you go.
Thing. I'm like, so one of these days, maybe we'll be famous. They'll be like, well, why do you have Bronze Age, mindset right next to your copy of the Eggs Benedict option?
Yeah. Look at this. Patrucus, she's, tribe member, very wide hips. Matthew Berry, Gio will fill her up. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a shame that Lacey Green, that her shit-lib beliefs is wasting away her birthing hips potential when you talk about filling her up. So,
well, that is the present time.
Terrible.
Cringe Rocker for $2 US says, can you define wholesome Chungus nationalism?
If you go to patreon.com, where I talk in my solo mega variety episode on the extra, I define it. But no, I'm not going to do that for you. But Cringe Walker, I mean, I know I think he is a patron of mine. So you should have known because I explained this. But for those of you who don't want to give me shekels, mammons. I hate the stupid shekel. I gotta admit, they got cringe though. The shekel memes, they got cringe. For those of you who don't know, wholesome Chungus nationalism is wait, Lacey Green is half Iranian? Oh my god. He's basically wholesome Chungus nationalism is national is it's kind of like gladio nationalism. It's like it's more so when an identity group that is historically at odds and has an ancestral hatred for a group that is an enemy of the regime, or at least tacitly is a quote unquote problematic identity. Like, for example, the Irish and the British, right? The British are obviously a quote unquote problematic colonialist identity, right? So wholesome Chungus nationalism is basically a sense of national identity that is predicated on pure resentment that is given to these group of people as an aside, as a way of expressing their identity, unless they don't do anything with their nationalism that is, meaningful or like actually constitutes actual nationalist action. Wholesome Chungus nationalism is given as a release valve to these largely subjugated people as a weaponized form of identity against a dominant power that the global liberal regime deems problematic. That's what
So,
it
like,
is.
what AA would call biscuit tin nationalism, just that's
Yeah,
safe.
it's safe. It's not really based in religion or race or identity. I mean, it can be based in race or religion, but so long as that only is to gin up resentment against another monopower, right?
Mm.
So that's Ukraine, Ireland, North American indigenous people. Like these are all like Reddit nationalisms. That's what I mean by wholesome Chungus nationalism, right? It's a heckin' wholesome, like we're fighting the great fight for identity against the evil oppressors. That really is being dicked over by the global liberal regime. But like, you know what I mean? Like when the Queen died, the British were, put through the ringer by the Irish and by other people that the British colonized. So, you can have your wholesome Chungus Barbadoan nationalism, your wholesome Chungus Irish nationalism, so long as you don't cross over into real political action. But you can hate the monopower, which in this case is, Britannia, because that's, evil and racist and colonialist. So there you go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, Cringe Walker again for $2 US says, "Sneed your ballot and feed it into the scanner." Yeah, you gotta sneed those in, kids.
Yep.
Ian Silvio, I did see it on Entropy, Ian, so don't worry. But I can probably, if you want me refunded for the super chat, I can have it on there. I haven't figured out how the Entropy thing works, but thank you for sending it over there. If you
Oh,
want to,
here's a good one.
yeah. What's the cultural significance of the videos? Pilot Red Sun, Sporty, Dilbert 2 and 3, and Umami. I said this on Entropy, but it says you're offline. I'm here. Don't worry. I have it open in another tab. So, like I said, if you want it refunded, or if you are okay with sending 20, I'm very thankful for it. But Geo, take this one away.
Yeah, well, Matthew Berry, Geo reads some Irish nationalist text and everything. Yeah, but that doesn't matter because I'm talking about the Irish nationalism, like post them becoming a Google colony. That's what I mean. Like not like the old like the one in the first independent war. I'm not talking about that type of Irish nationalism. I'm talking about current day. But anyways, no, the cultural significance is great. I love Chef Boyardee. I think Dilbert 2 and 3 are some of the greatest pieces of like internet lore ever created. Pilot Red Sun is amazing. I wish he had a better output. Umami is really good. All three of them. My best friend IRL, who is himself an animation fan, he went to school for animation. He introduced me to all three of them. Umami is really great. He's really killing it recently. I can't believe he's got like a solid output. How difficult current animation is. But I think that all of them do present really truly works of art that are kind of like indie and outsider, and they're not kind of like the serial work that you find with like other animators that became big on YouTube, like Psychic Pebbles or Oni Plays. Like I think like they're doing real legitimate outsider art pieces, And I think that they have millions of views for a reason. I would say, yeah, maybe David Firth or some of the other people that came out of Newgrounds, but I think that they were doing serial work, and then they only became later something more significant. But those three in particular, especially Chef Boyardee, and the way that he would like utilize the shittiest looking MS Paint animation. Like me and my two best friends in real life, we still quote Dilbert 2 and 3. Like we still like I can't tell you how many thousands of times I've watched both of them. But no, but Pilot Red Sun especially, like the stuff that they're doing is like trippy and surrealist, and even though it doesn't have like this groundbreaking political message or meaning, like I think Umami does verge into like meaningful subtext, but I think like all three of them are doing surrealism with internet-based animation, and for that I applied them, and I think that's why their influence is so great. And David Firth as well, Salad Fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I think Salad Fingers, I think, needs to be up there on the list. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, Pilot Reds. I mean, that's the thing, is that it feels so old sometimes when you talk about like Newgrounds animation and just where we are now. It also makes you wonder just how much has been lost just because we no longer use Flash. It really does kind of just come to mind. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Dilbert 2
the
and
Age
3
of
are great.
Flash, man.
The
All
Age of
those
Flash.
all those Flash games for free.
I know, what a
Yeah.
different time. I mean, yeah, Ian, I think that they're pretty significant. I mean, I think the Geo echoes very similar stuff to I have. Did someone just call back to 2008? Yes, RA 91. So we sure do. I mean, Dilbert 2 and 3 are great. Pilot Red Sun is trippy, and it's not political, but I mean, it's always something that you can appreciate. And I mean, how many other people have tried to mimic their styles and have gone on to, I mean, internet animation probably wouldn't be as big of a thing as they are now. I mean, a lot of the people who have made it big now, especially like Psych Pebbles and those that have gone on to
crossed
do
over into the
shows.
mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that was there. Yeah,
I
know.
I was actually thinking of it when
Everyone's
I
shitting
said
on Flash in the chat, but I mean,
yeah,
it generated a lot of what we take for granted nowadays in terms of animation.
yeah. I mean, all those old like videos you'd find on like wimp.com or E-Bombs World or Newgrounds, like that truly was great. Like WTF, that was funny as hell. I just remember like going to a friend's house and she like showed me WTF on wimp.com, and it was like, wow. There was like a group of kids there, and it was like, holy crap. Like
It's a whole
but
new world.
yeah, whole new. Oh man, yeah, I remember E-Bombs World. But Umami right now, he's doing really great stuff. I mean, Ed's World, yeah, R.A.P. Ed, R.A.P.
Oh,
Ed.
I know.
Man.
Oh God, E-Bombs World.
Yeah, E-Bombs World. No, but Umami's got such a trippy like aesthetic. Like it's very like, I would say like it verges into lowbrow art, like the 60s style lowbrow art type of stuff, or like like pop art, like Linedecker. Like he's got that type of vibe. Oh, Liquid Television, man. Yeah, that's ancient stuff. Great. Liquid Television.
Liquid Television. Newgrounds universally known for its animated
software out. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Homestar Runners Forever a classic. Yeah, Sean, I agree.
I remember my old man's worker. He showed me Newgrounds, and he showed me the one shooting game where it was like the kid in the ghetto. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Or do you remember Joe Cartoon? That was fun. Yeah, that was
I don't think I remember that one.
Joe Cartoon was great. Yeah, about Ocean Grunge. I listened to a bit of Ocean Grunge. I haven't listened to it in a while, but like I should go back.
Yeah. And then last but not least is from Entropy, and this is from Jacob for $3 US. Thank you so much. He says, "Who is the horniest Italian, Gio, Furious, or Andrew Cuomo?"
Andrew Cuomo has actually had sex, so I mean, that's probably Andrew Cuomo.
I would go with Furious just because your tweets and retweets are not on the same level, volume, or reply as Furious.
They would be if I didn't care about my followers. I would be retweeting like every second Abby Muncher post. So there you go.
Lord.
Some of the times that I do slip up and I like one of his posts, you have like a bunch of my followers. They're like, Gio, you put this on my TL. What are you doing? Why are you putting a chubby girl on my TL? So yeah. Anthony Soprano. What the?
Anthony Soprano. All right, I'm going to refresh
man. I hated Anthony.
Entropy real quick. And I think we are good. Oh, one last one from Cody Lefebvre. It says, "Hello all. It sounds like I've missed a great show for the US $3. Yeah, you did. I mean, every
Yeah.
show on the Digital Archipelago has been a great show so far. I don't think we've had a single flop or non-banger so far. But don't worry, the VOD will be here, and we should probably coordinate it in a way that we can have this on like a Podbean or Anchor.fm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
another one.
I
That's
could put
another one.
mine episodes on my Anchor. So,
Yeah, I should probably do something similar.
yeah,
Oh,
jib
Jibs,
jab.
yeah. All the stupid election ones, you know.
Yeah.
It's time for campaign and oh.
Jib jab.
Oh, what a good time.
Spasticus autistic. Yeah, just look up Abby Muncher on Twitter, Spasticus. You'll have fun.
Yeah, have fun with that.
It's like last night I was tuning into Ace's stream with Garrick Obama, and
Mhm.
he was talking about like erotica, and I'm like, bro, go to like for those of you who want some primo old school tech site erotica from the early 2000s, go to christianarchives.com, go to
Oh.
Literotica.
Well, speaking of last minute stuff, Geo is the anti-zero HP Lovecraft.
She could gain some weight. Yeah. Lacey Green could gain some pounds.
Oh, Spasticus, for I wish I could I might refund you that just so I can buy the rights to that for a tweet.
Oh god. Oh man.
Funny. That's pretty funny. But that brings us to the end of today's very good show.
Yeah.
Gio,
And next week we have a very good show, but we're also competing with another stream. To next week, for all of you anime fans, me and Prude have a very special treat for you all. We're going to review Serial Experiments Lane next week. I'm halfway through, by the way.
Or another show where Geo makes me consume media. I would have never thought of watching it. Like the Teenage Apocalypse trilogy. Now it's anime.
Now, yeah, we have to follow the Teen Apocalypse trilogy by watching Ken Park and Kids and Gummo. So by Harmony Green. So this has been great,
you know who
boys.
We should have on to talk about Gummo? Semiagog.
Oh yeah, there you go. Is he a fan?
Yeah, he's seen the movie.
Oh, then we'll do that. Yeah, we'll get him to watch Ken Park and Kids too. So. Oh my god, all the smut Larry Clark, Harmony Korine films. Brokeback Mountain Digital Archipelago within 4 months.
I hope not. I hope we don't.
No, there is so much. Listen, okay, as we've proven with the Teen Apocalypse trilogy, there is so much better gay media, like LGBT, like new queer cinema out there than fucking Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain was just a joke. It was a normie mainstream thing. And there is so much more Kino gay queer cinema out there. Okay, don't give me this bullshit about Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain can't hold a candle to Boys Don't Cry. Okay, so that's my hot spicy take. You ever watch Boys Don't Cry, Prude?
No, I haven't, Geo. You just made this long-winded defense about why this is a better gay film than Brokeback Mountain. I want you to just think that out loud.
Look at this base queer cinema. You know. Listen, I know like Fassbender did some stuff that was implicitly gay, but do you remember Rubber John? I think I do actually. Pink Flamingos, yeah, Pink Flamingos.
Oh, I only know about Pink Flamingos because of Red Letter Media and John Waters.
Yeah, Red Letter Media. Yeah.
And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this movie's fucking hilarious.
Listen, if you guys want your based, mommy dommy erotica, then go to Kristen Archives.
Jesus. No, shut it down.
Shut it down. All right. Last minute chilling, Prude, or anything.
Well, other than next week's Digital Archipelago being on Serial Experiments Lane, what are you doing?
Well, I just did the Gifts and Given episode. Next week I'll probably, you know what? Next week I'm going to release the Kino Corner episode. There you go. Speaking of cinema,
so Kino Corner on, fantastic.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. And also, I for my patrons, but I probably will make it public. You know how I do the Giant Review series?
Yeah,
I wanted to do. Listen, yes, I know Serial Experience Lane is queer anime. Yes, I know. Okay, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna cover that. Okay, we'll get to warning. Yeah, well, it's not really. It's just that a lot of trans people love that as like their favorite anime. Tranime.
Oh, so
So
just in the same way that they really like what's the word I'm looking for? That they really like Fallout New Vegas.
yeah, it's kind of we'll get to no RA9, it's Kristen Archives. Get it right, the Kristen Archives. Okay.
Oh God.
Never mind. Please do not research. Tranime. No, yeah, a lot of like trans people do like Lane. But for we'll get into that. But not knocking it. I think Lane Lane is one of the greatest animes I've ever seen in my life. It truly is like I think it truly is a work of art in terms. Unironically, it's like a surrealist work of art. But anyways, on my own Giant Reviews, I probably will do a video on Girls Last Tour. Speaking of anime, so I'm gonna review Girls Last Tour. I just finished watching it all. I love Girls Last Tour. It's a great anime. It's amazing. But it's also surprisingly meaningful. This is my hot take. Girls Last Tour is kind of like if the background story to Adventure Time wasn't Reddit. Okay, there you go. That's my hot take.
All right.
But so next week, a lot of good content to look forward to. I'll probably release a teaser video or something like maybe on Friday or Saturday. So and I hope you guys appreciated the Walking Dead rant. So the Walking Soy. But yeah, yeah. But you have some stuff going on too, or
yeah, I've got 2 more things to do today actually. So
you Pete Quinones.
Well, yeah, that's one of 2. So before Pete Quinones, I'll be with Hirove Morik, from Geopolitics and Empire. He has his own little radio show. So I'll be doing that with him first, and then immediately right afterwards, I will be on with Pete Quinones to go over Chapter 4 of Harold Saltzman's book, Race War in High School with PQ. And of course, we've recently opened up our sort of American-focused media company, the Old Glory Club. We did a great launch day covering everything from guns to American history to 2024. We did a midterms coverage on Tuesday. We've got a lot of great stuff on our Substack. So if you haven't found the oldgloryclub.substack.com, you'll see all of our content there, as well as on Twitter. So we're very busy with all sorts of things here. Next, this Saturday, I'll be covering the Tigray conflict that has been going on in Ethiopia, alongside the recent ceasefire agreement and stuff like this. And then next week, I will have a Real Talk out. Patrons will be seeing it early, of course, as always. And then I am currently in the midst of finishing up some writing for some publications. So I'll be sending that off shortly, and things will be going pretty smoothly on this way. Plus, I just recently passed 10K on Twitter, so I feel pretty high on my own laurels here. And now I feel rather encouraged to work even harder. So as always, I've got plenty of great stuff to come, and we'll be here next week, this Thursday on Geo's channel.
Yeah.
All right.
So hope to see you there.
Yeah, you better be. And if you're not subscribed to Geo, all of his links are down below in the description. And if you want to send some love my way, of course, there's Entropy, Buy Me a Coffee, and Subscribe Star. Geo's got his Patreon. And we'll see you all next week.
God bless. Goodbye. Too sweet.